Put your hand in the air. Let's go. Good. Leadership that's strong with pride in challenging times. When we come together, the country smiles 'cause we are for you, me, we, and the BLP. It could be COVID.
Good night, good night, good night, good night, Barbados Labour Party family. Good night to the beautiful people of St. Philip. Good night to Barbadians, home and abroad. And a special good night to the good people of St. Philip West. My name is Shanika Roberts-Odell, and tonight, with my comrade, Mr. Dalton Lovell, we are your chairpersons. Tonight, we come to talk to you about the Barbados Labour Party and what we have done and what we intend to bring to the people of Barbados. Tonight, I am passionate about this because I've heard the Democratic Labour Party trying to convince themselves that all we do is put on good picnics and good effects. And well, we put on real good events. I want to tell them, we in the Barbados Labour Party, we in Barbados know that we are indeed style, but we are substance. We have spent our time in office delivering good governance, delivering guidance, delivering leadership, and delivering for the people of Barbados. And so, I know that they want to convince themselves. But tonight we can deal with facts over feelings. So, I want to start with fact number 1. 179% is less than 100%. We can all agree, right? All right. So when the leader of the opposition tries to tell you that we have not done our absolute most to deal with the debt to GDP ratio, remind him whose party left Barbados in that kind of debt. Had Barbadians, like, you know, when you pay a few bills to courts and just be breathing down your neck and calling your phone? Had us in that feeling, debt collectors at our door. And it is through you, the Barbadian people, and Mida and more Motley and this Barbados Labour Party government, that we were able to bring that down to 100%. And we are continuing to do the work. So help him to remember that he presides over a party that put us in this situation. He is Wreck-It Ralph, come to wreck us again. But we will continue to move with the original Fix-It Felix, Mia Amor Motley, and the Barbados Labour Party. And to come to you tonight is a man who knows what it is to fix problems, to do heavy lifting, and he does so with style and substance. Mr. Wilfred Abrams.
We voting for Wilfred. Everybody voting for Wilfred. Wilfred Abrams is the man that gon' set the trend. This ain't a head.
Shoulders, knees, and toes.
Is Wilfred Abrams in full control? My head.
Shoulders, knees, and toes.
Abrams got to get my vote, cause we don't want them. Give me Wilfred, not them. Vote for Abrams, not them. Wilfred set the trend, so come again, cause we don't want them.
Good night, good night, good night, St. Philip West. Good night to St. Patrick's. Now, it's a particular pleasure for me to speak here to all of you all, because at one point in time, St. Patrick's used to be a part of Christchurch East. And this was the part of Christchurch East that used to bring the Barbados Labour Party home. So I know that where I'm speaking now, we're among family, so good night to you all. Look, I was in church yesterday, and the preacher preached a sermon, and they were talking about when Abraham and Lot went on the journey together. And they were talking about noise in the atmosphere, that sometimes you actually need to understand with all the competing messages what is actually really true and what makes sense. Now, Barbados A campaign is like preparation for an exam. And when we take the exam, we write up our best. We say what we have done. We say what we're going to do. And the rest of Barbados marks us. And they mark us on merit. What have we done in Barbados? Where is Barbados? To understand where Barbados is, you have to understand where we came from in 2018. So just start St. Patrick's by casting your mind back to those dark days in 2018. The days when all of us here were afraid that the dollar was going to devalue. You remember coming up to elections, the major talking point in Barbados was the devaluation of the dollar. People wondering when it was going to devalue and to how much. Devaluation is now a thing of our past. Bajans don't think about devaluation. That topic has not come up since 2018. This Barbados Labour Party government has stabilized the economy. We went from being the third most indebted country in the world to having sound economic policies and on a steady growth path. Barbados, you have seen growth 2018 to 2025. And you know by looking at the manifesto that there's more growth in store for Barbados. The sky is our limit. The Prime Minister uses words like center of excellence and world class, because that is what she and this government imagine for Barbados. We don't see Barbados as the little rock. We don't see Barbados as 166 square miles with 280,000 people. We see Barbados as being the example for others to follow. We have always been looked up to and held in high esteem in the rest of the Caribbean until the last government. The last government stripped away our dignity. They stripped away our pride. They stripped away our history. They stripped away everything that they could strip away. In 2018, Barbados, we were afraid to go out on the South Coast. The whole world was looking at Barbados. The Prime Minister said the most embarrassing experience of her life was when she assumed the Prime Ministership of Barbados and she made a call to Christine Lagarde of the IMF. And the first thing that Christine Lagarde asked the Prime Minister, do you all still have sewage running on the streets of Barbados? That was how the world saw Barbados. The last government was comfortable to have Barbados for 18 months to 2 years with sewage flowing on our streets with no plans of stopping it. They had no idea what to do. We were facing a health crisis in Barbados. The tourists were being warned to not come here. Just cast your minds back, Barbados. That was the dominant topic in 2018. But consider now, the sewage has been a memory. A lot of the children don't even remember that they had sewage on the streets. A lot of Barbadians, when you're talking about what the government has done, people forget that we had a sewage problem because we have moved so far past that and going in the right direction. That all Barbados is concerned about is what do we do next? Where are we going next? What's the next big project? You remember St. Patrick's, that in 2018, we had the garbage trucks and we had the buses. That for people who had to depend on the transport board, getting a bus was hell. Now, from having no buses, we've purchased over 110 electric buses, brand new electric buses, so that the conversation is not, oh shoot, the bus ain't come, we ain't got a bus. The topic around buses is the Wi-Fi ain't working. The AC wasn't working on the bus. Our transportation issues have become a thing of the past. We have built this country. We have come from so far back. And perhaps sometimes we make it look a little bit too easy. People don't see the late nights and early mornings that the government had meetings and planning and trying to get the country back on track. People can't see when the Prime Minister travels. And I'm going to get to the Prime Minister's travel just now. But I happened to have the misfortune to go on a trip with the Prime Minister to New York. We were in New York for one night. One night. I have never met so many people in my life in one day. We went from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting. Somewhere about 4 o'clock in the afternoon of the first day, the Prime Minister asked, "Y'all hungry?" We had a brief bite to eat and then went back into meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. When the Prime Minister goes overseas to do the business of the people of Barbados and the country of Barbados, it's not a spree, it's not a jaunt, it's not a free-for-all. It's a serious woman going to do serious business on behalf of a serious country. If the Prime Minister had not been the Prime Minister that she is, if Mia had not been a people person, if Mia had not been a visionary, you think we would have been able to negotiate all of the deals that we made for the funding that we've gotten to repair the acts and emergency, to repair the polyclinics, to do the debushing programs, to redevelop Waterford Bottom, the botanical gardens, St. Patrick's? Remember in 2018, anybody who used to go to school at Cormier or used to use that road called Waterford Bottom, out there was hell. If it had no street lights, if your car broke down in Waterford Bottom, you would get out of that car, lock it as best you can, and then start to run because you were frightened. Now we take for granted the botanical gardens. We feel it has always been there. People complain that the grass wasn't cut yesterday. We have regular garbage pickup schedules. That is where we have come from where we were. But where are we going? And I could stand here and talk all about the achievements that we've done, because we did an interesting exercise a couple of weeks ago. The Prime Minister said, "Okay, y'all, tell us what we've accomplished in Barbados." And we started to call out things. And you called out the obvious ones, like the sewage, you called out the economy, you called out the upgrades. But then people started to call out other things that we have forgotten. We sat down and put together this red report. This red report contains all of the achievements of the Barbados Labour Party government since coming to government in 2018. What is interesting about this report, it wasn't padded. Anything that was not 100% finished was taken out of this report. If we started fixing a playing field and we didn't finish, it came out because it was not completed. Everything in this are the completed and delivered promises and projects of the Barbados Labour Party. And it makes for interesting reading. I want all of y'all, and it's available online, I want all of you all here to try to get a copy of this. If you can't get a copy, check the BLP website for the link and go through it. Because what we've accomplished in 8 short years is nothing short of phenomenal. This government has done well. Have we been perfect? No, we have not. We have not been perfect. Perfections for the divine. We will always fall short. But of what we promised you in the last manifesto, we have delivered 70%, completed 70% of the things that we have promised to you. That is an enviable record. The government has done well. When we look, actually let's compare light with light. When the Barbados Labour Party was in opposition, Mia Motley was setting out her plans for when she came into government, and she was sharing those plans with all of you. She was sharing those plans with the unions. She was sharing those plans with the workers. She was sharing those plans with the IMF. She was sharing those plans with everybody. When the government was elected in 2018, all of you knew what the immediate plans were. What was the government going to tackle first? First item of business, get the sewage off the streets. Second item of business is tackle the economy. Actually, those are 1 and 2, 2 and 1. They were on par as critical items. But then you had all of the other things. Compare that style of opposition with this style of opposition. If Ralph Thorne was to become the Prime Minister of Barbados, what do you think would happen next? In the first week, what do you think will happen next? And when somebody warns you about something, listen to them. Ralph Thorne, his last published statement, no, you got to speak about it. His last published statement was, you hungry? You hungry? I can make wanna starve. That was what he left you with as his last proceedings in Parliament. This government has a plan, and the plan is set out in the manifesto. I don't know how many of you all had a chance to read the manifesto, but the manifesto sets out our promise to you, and it's not just a manifesto. Every single one of us, if you look on the back page, every single one of us had to sign this. This is our covenant to you. This is not just what we hope to do. This is what we say we are committed to achieving on your behalf. It is not the same old, same old. The Prime Minister has already committed to increasing the grant, providing a grant for all the persons on welfare, providing a grant for those on disability. So effectively, those who are receiving disability and those who are receiving welfare is going to get a bit more money when the week comes. We've committed to increasing the reverse tax credit to put more money in your pocket. They've increased the threshold again for land tax. We have so many things in here. Winning the war against NCDs, engaging our region and the world, because the plan is not just for Barbados. Barbados is now recognized on the global stage. A number of the things that we have started, we have included in here because we intend to finish them. Did you all see the plan for sports? You all saw the plan for the new stadium. And we have to look around, just look around. There's not pie in the sky because we've delivered on a lot of these. Almost every single constituency now has lights on playing fields across the constituency. Almost every single constituency has seen the upgrade of its playing facilities. We have done a lot in education. We reinstituted free tertiary education for the children of black people. Poor people's children can now go back to school. That is something that we forget. People have accepted this back as the norm because it was always the norm. But it was not the norm under the last government. Over 5,000 workers in the public sector of Barbados have been appointed into their jobs. Everybody wants a piece of the rock and everybody wants a government job. And people get the jobs and they get the temporary jobs and they want to get appointed. This government has appointed, we have signed and sealed our commitment to the government workers and public workers. We're increasing the deal for the police service. One of the last things the AG said and swore to was that we are committed to establishing the full complement of police officers so that we can increase the safety and security in our country. I know some people have issues with the roads. I know roads are a concern for a lot of you. But remember this, when we came into government in 2018, 74% of the roads were classified as poor, in poor condition. So we had to start a road program where they had none. Tell me a road that the Dems did in St. Patrick's or in this constituency in their time in office. Tell me one. They did nothing to maintain the infrastructure of Barbados and it crumbled. We are now trying to repair and they're pointing fingers. They're like the person who starts to strip out the floorboards in the house to make a fire to cook food and then passing by, lick out all the windows and then look back at the house and say, hey, look at our poor house. Look at our poor Reiki house. We have done a lot. Full netball stadium covered, is in construction. I am thankful and I am grateful because I got a fantastic facility in parish land. And that was a major issue for us. Charles Griffith, I want to thank you for delivering in parish land. Kay McConey, I want to thank you as well for the work that you did in education. And in my last couple of minutes, I want to speak about Kay McConey. St. Patrick's. Kay is that person who does not blow her own trumpet. Kay is that person who is quiet, dependable, and solid. Kay is that person who feels people's pain. I have seen Kay McConey on the verge of tears because of the plight of one of her constituents. I can tell you something. The other day, Kay McConey, that black stuff you get from the roadways, Kay got some access to that, and Kay moved that in here to deal with a number of people. I know because I was getting some in my constituency too. Kay moved that in. This is not the government. This is Kay McConey, and deposited it in some roads where the roads needed a little bump up. People had the car tracks and they needed a little assistance. Kay got it collected, got it deposited, got it put down, and in some cases got it rolled. And I know she did not depend on government for that. That is an MP who pulls her pocket for her people. Kay is one of our most solid ministers, and she is somebody that will be straight with you. If you go to Kay and you ask Kay for assistance and Kay can help you, Kay will tell you. And if she tells you, yes, it is done. If she can't do it, Kay will tell you, I can't do it now. But she will come back to you when she can, because she treats her constituents the same way I try to treat mine. She treats you the same way she treats her colleagues in cabinet. For Kay McConey, everybody is important. You all have a wonderful representative in Kay McConey. I am not here to talk about the other person who's all bark and no bite. I am not here to pull down somebody else, because I don't need to pull down somebody else to big up Kay McConey. The Prime Minister begged Kay McConey to come back from where she was overseas to form a part of this government, because the Prime Minister knew the caliber of the person that we had. What y'all may not know, you know, Kay used to be a national athlete. Kay was a top-class sprinter. And that same discipline she has as an athlete, she brings to her politics. St. Philip West, I end as I started. There are lots of noises in the atmosphere. You need to be able to tune out the white noise and focus on the programming. If you are honest with yourself, this government has done well and it is trending in the right direction. If you are honest with yourself, in your heart of hearts, the person that you feel or you believe to take us forward is Mia Amor Motley and her team. If you are honest in your hearts, not one of you who can hear my voice, not one of you can even contemplate the next 5 years with Ralph Thorne as your Prime Minister. And that is the reality. Support, we like your support. We appreciate your support in all the other years. We are now coming to an election. Support is not enough. We need your vote. St. Philip West, Kay McConey needs your vote. The ballot boxes start empty. Every single ballot box starts empty. They check it at the beginning and then they lock it. The only votes that can count on election day are the ones that you all mark on the paper and you all fold and put into the ballot box. So I thank you for your support. St. Philip West, I thank you for the support that you've given Kay McConey. I am now here on this platform. I ask you to convert that support into votes. Go out and vote for the government that you want. Go out and vote for the government you deserve. Go out and vote for your candidate who has substance. Go out and vote for your candidate who has shown you all that she cares. Go out and vote for that candidate who has fought for you all. Go out and vote, because, hear me clearly. Hear me clearly. You have choices, but choices have consequences. St. Philip West, all who can hear me, it is your duty to do right by yourself and do right by your children. It is your duty to go with those who have the record and then go with those who have the vision. And the party with the record and the vision happen to be the exact same party, the Barbados Labour Party. And your candidate is Kay McConey. What you need to do is clear. Go out and put your vote for for the person you deserve to take you for the next 5 years. And that is Kay McConey and the Barbados Labour Party government. St. Philip West, I thank you. God bless.
Hi, my name is Terrell Cox. I'm from Dolphin Park, Christchurch. St. Philip West is my constituency and Kay McConey is my MP. So I am the proud owner of Terrell's Cuts, which is my landscaping business that I have going on. Recently, my waka had broke down and my friend had told me to go to Kay's office to get some assistance. I immediately went for assistance due to the fact that I had heard about the program, and they had lent me a waka to use for the time being that my waka was down, to continue my business and to keep things running for the meantime. So I just want to thank Kay McConey for helping me out, for being able to keep my business afloat till I could get my parts dealt with. And if there's anybody out there that would like assistance or need any help in general, you can always come at the office because the door is always open no matter what. And I just want to thank Kay McConey for being my MP, and thanks for the program for being able to help me out, and that's it.
One thing that I know, when election time come wrong again, when the BNP in power, we smiling again. Labour people, represent with your hand in the air. Put 'em up. Yo! Election is the time you have to meet up with all my friends. What's me and Manley and me's Monday? The country winning, me and people, represent with your hand in the air.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, Barbados Labour Party family. Good evening to the wonderful people of the constituency of St. Philip West. Good evening more directly and deliberately to the people of Packers. I've roamed these streets. A special good evening to you, Mrs. Haynes, who I know is sitting on your patio listening to us this evening. I am here to tell you that I want you to do me and Motley a great favor. I am asking you, I am begging you, do her this favor just for me. I want you to go to the polls on February 11th and give back me and Motley Kay McConey to represent this constituency of St. Philip West. That should be easy. Very easy. Kay, a decent, honest, hard-working lady who's not noisy like me. She doesn't behave badly like me. She is one of those people who moves quietly, deliberately, and delivers. I, on the other hand, I will deliver, but I can make some noise too. And then you have the contrast on the other side. A man who feels that his mouth is big and he can be loud and aggressive and say all kinds of unkindly and harsh things about the beautiful women in this party and its supporters. That bad behaved Eswick. I'm not too worried about him because I expect you to send him packing for the final time. And I can tell you I know this to be so. Because there's a young man, he has been courting for the seat. Not just clearly, just for the seat, huh? I mean the constituency, just be clear. He has been courting this young man, wanting this young man to replace him, and it seems as though he has expressed some doubts about his chances in this election. But I know just like him and a few others in the Democratic Labour Party, they are going to do anything to stop the rat. Because I know they don't like the rat. And they have said openly that he cannot lead them anywhere. But I want to say something to you tonight, and I want you to listen to me very, very, very carefully. You see Eswick on the ticket? You see Seeley on the ticket? You see James Paul, but we ain't gonna worry about he too much because he's now a B.
Because he telling everybody vote Barbados Labour Party. But I want you to observe something. I hope you all are watching this thing. You all see Ronald Jones on the platform? You all see John Boyce on the platform? You all hear Don Villain is talking over and over every time you look wrong. Don Villain is speaking. I am warning you tonight. Please listen to me. Take heed. Those same people who were in the seat of control when this country was destroyed, they are in the woodworks. They are lurking in that party. They are showing up again. And if the Democratic Labour Party was to win an election and form a government, I tell you, those same characters will be empowered. And you can see them as ministers again. And you can smell the hell again. I am asking you, think about the pain you felt. Think about the suffering you felt. Remember the faces. Remember the faces that were responsible for your pain and your suffering. Remember those men. You are seeing them again. Please do not make the mistake and vote for any Democratic Labour Party candidate. Please think about yourself. Think about your children. And think about the future of your country. And remember the pain. And remember those faces that caused the pain. Please do so. But ladies and gentlemen, you have a representative up here, and you have seen the works. I mean, I didn't know that Kay has done so much because she wouldn't talk about the things she does. And that's probably, I would get vexed with her about that. Because if I did all these things, I would be bragging and boasting and beating my chest. And I would got them all over Facebook. But that is not her thing. She is not plastering what she does on Instagram. So you're not going to see all of the work she's doing like some other people. She prefers to do her thing and touch your lives, do it quietly and move on. And that is the kind of representative she is. And that's the kind of person she is. So I'm asking you tonight. I am asking you tonight. Who are you voting for on February 11th? Who are you voting for on the 11th? Ladies and gentlemen, Barbados Labour Party people, I'm telling you, when the men start to count the votes on the night of the 11th, I want you to be jumping and waving because I want you to be making sure that all that is happening that night is all you are hearing is McConey, 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 McConey. And I know that one or two people might not be too happy with the Dems, so they might go and spoil the vote. So even if you can do something for me, let it spoil the vote, be S-week too. People, your country is in safe hands with Mia Amor-Motley. Her hands are a little freer if she has care. Give her care, and she will do the rest. What are you going to do? You can give me a care? You can give the Prime Minister care? You can give her care? Care come, care. Care come, care. Care come. The people are calling for you, care. They want you to come, you know, care. They want you to come, care. I know they want you to come. Take it easy. I know that I can't speak in yet. They said, come, care. I want you up here with me. But there's a meeting, man. There's our people. Am I calling care and care won't come? I know it's your meeting. I want to see you up here. I want to see you up here, care. These are your people. These are your people. These are your people. And I'm saying, I want Kay here with me. And the reason I want her here with me is because she doesn't make the noise that I make. She doesn't make the noise that I make. She does the work and I can make the noise. She does the work, I can make the noise. She does the work, I can make the noise, man. This is what I'm talking about. So when you go to the polls on February 11th, how you voting? How you voting? How you voting? I love her. I love her. I love her. I'm a married man, so I'm not over it. Thank you so much. Huh?
Thank you.
I love you. Oh, I love you. But there's a lot of love in this party. I am now a resident of St. George North and a registered voter. And I had the pleasure of voting for this lady. And I would vote for this lady again. I wish that I had 100 votes that I could use in one election. Because she is just like Kay. She does her thing quietly. We don't have the women in the Barbados Labour Party don't bark at nobody. But I'm telling you now, ladies and gentlemen, St. George North is safe now, and it will be safe again because we're going back to the polls on the February 11th, and we're voting one more time. We're voting for more, 20 more.
Representing for 20 more. Whoa, yeah. St. George North is where the action is. St. George North is where the action is. St. George is where the action is. Whoa, yeah. We voting for MP Tony Moore. She always give very more in matters. From paternity, fair raises and policy, I put in my ex right there with more in matters.
We put in our X where it matters, with more where it matters, with the people who are in it for the love and not for the likes. So that is why St. Philip West, when you go to the polls on February 11th, you are going to be voting for the love and not for the likes, and you are going to be voting for Kay McConey all the way. Good night, St. Philip West. Good night, everybody here in St. Patrick's. Good night to my people as far up as Woburn, where I spent some time. I'm a St. John girl, but I spent some time with you here in St. Philip West for at least 10 years. And I know that if you would not have wanted me to ensure that I get all the rodents out of St. John, you would have been telling me and joining me and voting for Kay. But tonight I speak on her behalf, and I speak on her behalf in a very solid way tonight. I want us to focus on the moment that we are in. I know that previous speakers and your chairperson for tonight, he's going to do what he has to do to convey certain messages to you. But I don't want to spend time focusing on an opposition tonight. Tonight, I think you have seen enough for the last 7 years. I know that you have seen enough in the last 7 years under the Barbados Labour Party to understand that when you go to the polls on February 11th, you are not simply voting next to a name. You are voting for yourselves. You're voting for your families. And you're voting for your future. So I'm not going to be preoccupied tonight in trying to tell you not to go back to those old ways. Because I know that those of you who have that right to exercise here in St. Philip West, you have seen enough of those old ways to leave them where they are. We saw them being defeated once in 2018, again in 2022, and come February the 11th in 2026, we will be reaffirming not only to St. Philip West, but to the rest of Barbados that we've had enough of them and we are not going back. So tonight, I am not going to spend time talking to you about the confusion that there was. I'm not going to spend time talking to you about the bitterness and emptiness and presentations that there still is. I'm going to spend some time in St. Philip West asking you to consider yourselves and asking you to consider the kind of future that you want for yourself. From 2018, we were not only voting for a country that was on the brink. We were not merely voting to save or pull back a country from the brink. We were voting for leadership. And we were voting for leadership where it matters. We were voting for our children to have a chance, many of us, to grow up in the same Barbados that we knew and loved. We were voting for our children to have the opportunity or to feel that they have the opportunities to grow in the country that we have known and loved for most of our lives. And when Kay McConey was brought back to join the Barbados Labour Party, not then as a candidate or as a member of parliament, but as a senator, Kay McConey was brought back because this same leadership under Mia Amor Motley understood what the changing times demanded. And one of the areas that Kay has worked in helping this government to uplift has been in the area of education transformation. And that is where I want to spend some time. Because in this manifesto, I don't know how many of you have received your copy as yet, but in this manifesto, you have a team. You have a team of 30 presented on the cover. Under a caption, Greater Will Our Nation Grow. And when you look at the back, strong leadership for the changing times. And that's where I want to spend a few moments as I consider or as I implore you to understand what that strong leadership has done and where that strong leadership is able to take this country in another term, should it be your will, the people of St. Philip West, and more widely the people of Barbados. So on the education transformation, all of us accept that we want to live in a place where our children can feel that they have opportunity, that they can inherit, that we can prepare our children for the world. And you know, one of the most important portfolios in my mind that Kay held was exactly that of uplifting this nation's children, that of starting the work towards transformation in a way that we can see a modernized curriculum in schools. I don't know about you, but I have a daughter, 13 years old. And when she went into first form, and I saw some of the books that she was using, if I had gone to her school, she probably would have been using some of the same exact books that I took home and studied from. Because our curriculum over time has not modernized. It has not modernized to meet the changing times. And on the Kay's ministry and under her portfolio in education transformation, she laid the foundation for Chad so that he can continue much of the work that this manifesto speaks about in education transformation, where we will see a modernized curriculum. And a modernized curriculum does not mean that it is different only, or it does not mean that we will be delivering something weaker. But we understand the times that we are in. When I was a little girl, when I was even in secondary school, we didn't contemplate anything about a platform economy or a gig economy, and we didn't hear anything about artificial intelligence and all these technological terms. But if life is moving on, if the landscape around us is changing, then don't you agree that our educational system has to modernize to meet that change too? And Kay, the representative that you had in Kay, was not only your member of parliament, but she was one of the engineers around the very thing now that this manifesto speaks about as it relates to modernizing our curriculum. Creative industries in secondary school. I know that if you come out of the environment that I came out of in secondary school, and I believe that there are other schools that have the spirit as well, but I think that mine was a different kind. And if you came out of the up and on culture, it is the kind of culture that draws you in and makes you feel proud of the history and makes you feel proud of the association that there is. But in a modern Barbados, while that is good, and while culture will have its place, we want to deliver more to our people. We want to deliver more to our children. So we just don't want to be studying math and English and so on. So Kay has been very, very instrumental in doing the groundwork to ensure that we can have creative industries in secondary schools, that we could see schools that focus their interest on agriculture, developing people who have the natural habits and tendencies for agriculture. Then we inherited a system where there was so much widespread social disconnect. Not only we saw university fees that were then becoming the responsibility of parents to pay, in circumstances where people like myself were the beneficiaries of not having to pay these fees. But we came into an environment where everything seemed to be either at a standstill or receding. And one of the things that we had to grapple with and wrestle with very early was the fact that in as much as we want our children to grow and have opportunities, that we needed to create the space and the context within our children can grow and seize the benefits of the opportunities provided for them. Tell me how many of us who, when we are hungry, can concentrate? Many of us, when we are hungry, we have difficulty focusing on the task at hand. And one of the things that we don't like to talk about is that there are so many of our nation's children who go to school and because of family pride or because of different circumstances, they're unable to communicate or shy to communicate the very challenges that will stop fruitful learning from taking place. And Kay McConey, tonight I want to say a very special thank you to you for the tremendous work that you have done in starting a number of programs that will see students in our nation's primary schools having access to universal primary school breakfast. For a lot of you, that might not be a big one, but ask the mother who can't give her children breakfast on mornings. Ask the child who gets up and feels like crying and can't face the day because his stomach is empty and has nothing to eat. These things make a difference, and that is what this Barbados Labour Party in government will continue to work on to deliver to the people who are our future. And then it is for our students. Opportunity to go overseas and expand new horizons should not be reserved only for those who can afford it. And I'm so happy that Kay McConey, bringing the experiences that this country allowed her to have in different portfolios representing and working overseas, understood the importance of people having international exposure. And not only understood the importance, but has been working even outside of the portfolio of educational transformation to ensure that our people, not only those who can afford it, have exposure for our students internationally. And that is what this manifesto is committing, is covenanting with all of us to deliver as well. And of course, clear school to work pathways. Because very often we go to school, we get our certificates, and then the opportunities are not there. And it is easy sometimes to look at people who you think have done fairly well and believe that it was all easy. I often use myself as an example. I went to secondary school, primary school, secondary school. I went into the university. I went off to teach for 2 years. I taught at a law school. And then after that, I went overseas and decided I wanted to pursue a master's. I have a difficulty when young people come to me and tell me, but I am qualified and I don't want to do this. I am qualified and I don't want to do that. Many of us have had to struggle to position ourselves where we can be not only the beneficiaries of educational opportunities, but then be the beneficiaries of job opportunities. Because we have had a very stellar school system, but we often lack the things that will connect us into the business world and give us the kind of experience that we will not only go and work for people, but we can spread our wings and be entrepreneurs ourselves and can show what enfranchisement in a country like ours really means. I worked as a clerical officer in the National Housing Corporation for almost 3 years before I got the opportunity to move on. And there are many of us that would say, I have a master's, I don't want to do that. But what this government, what the BLP in government will do for you, do for your children, will be to create opportunities where our children can connect between the classroom and the opportunities out there. So it means doing the necessary studies to see what jobs are there, making sure the curriculum aligns and everything. And that is the kind of work that Kay has been investing in along with the government of Barbados in the future of our children, in this nation's future. But I want to spend just a quick time because I am known for labor. And I don't think that I could leave the platform without saying that part of this covenant is to create job opportunities that make a difference. Part of this covenant is creating opportunities that allow us to earn a living that will take care of our families, because we do not pretend that there are not many families who are working in our societies and still struggling to make ends meet. A phenomenon called the working poor. And that this Barbados Labour Party and government that has introduced a minimum wage and did so at a time when this country was going through one of its most difficult periods, is also now committing that it will go a step further and make sure that families can benefit from a living wage. In other words, the basic amount that you can survive on to do all the things that you need to do on a day-to-day basis to live and survive. And part of that, outside of just a living wage, is to value our people. And that is what Kay represents. You heard the chairperson said that, like me, she does things quietly and don't really create a fuss around it. But making a difference in people's lives also means creating opportunities. And I'm so proud to be part of a government that sees public sector workers and feels public sector workers and understands that it is not only enough to make sure that salaries are paid or salaries are increased, but that our public servants, our teachers, who we can never pay enough, our policemen, who we can never value enough for the service that they deliver, our doctors, our nurses, that these people have an opportunity to benefit from 30% of any housing plans and so on, housing developments that the government will establish. I want you, as I prepare to close, I don't want to roll out too much policy because I think that there's so much in this manifesto and it's important for us to issue it in bite sizes so that you can digest. We've spoken a lot about record. And record is important for one main reason in this election. Record is important for instructing us that the government that has been able to deliver meaningful change and bring transformation even among some of the most difficult circumstances during the last 7 years. If that government has done it already, it is competent and is capable of taking this country forward. So record is important. And the manifesto that we present and that was presented to you a couple nights ago is not one of empty promises, therefore, because you've heard it from several of our speakers that of over 1,700 promises or commitments to the people of Barbados that the government has been able to keep faith with, not all, but 70%. And in any environment, 70% is more than just a barely scraped pass mark. In fact, in some circumstances, it could be as good as an A-. We will commit, as we made covenant with you on Saturday night, that should you give us the confidence that you gave us back in 2018 and that you gave us again in 2022, and should you see it within your right and within your interests to repose that confidence in us again. We commit to you that should you deliver Miss Kay McConey to the Barbados Labour Party team so that we can continue to work as partners in covenant and in commitment to uplifting the people of this country, that we will not fail you, but we will continue to not give you everything that you may want, but everything that is humanly possible for us to deliver. So I urge us tonight to consider the moment we are in. Consider the moment we are in. And I told some constituents as recently as yesterday, don't consider that you are putting an X next to a name for that name. It is in that name, and it is with the commitment that that person has working with a broader team. A team that is a team for changing times. A team that has shown that it is a team for difficult times. That you will see yourself as you go to the polling station and you place your X, that with that mark you will make an X, a mark of pride that says, I have pride in myself. I have interest in myself. I am going with the team for changing times. I am going with Kay McConey for St. Philip West. I am going with Endorsement in St. Philip South. I am going with Sonia Brown in St. Philip North, because I am bringing home St. Philip in the same way that I'm bringing home the other 27 constituencies. Barbados Labour Party, red and ready, because when Labour leads, Bajan succeed. Good night and God bless you.
My name is Roger Bryan, and I have a spiritual shop in Bridgetown, and I'm a constituent of St. Philip West, where Minister Kay McConey is the parliamentary representative, and I am extremely grateful to her for facilitating the acquisition of a water tank, which was a great need. When we have natural disasters, as you would realize as you came into here, is a rocky road, so it's one of the more difficult places that the tanker can come to. And from time to time I've had burst pipes, and I was able to resort to the use of the tank. So it is very practical and to me a necessity, especially in times like these when we are having all of these natural disasters. So once again, I want to express my deep thanks to Minister Kay McConey for her altruism, her caring for us in this community.
Barbados, from parish to parish, we ready. Morning light on the island breeze, hard work, strong roots, big dreams. From the coast to the hills we rise, same heartbeat under blue skies. We've been steady, we've been strong, building Barbados all along. You can see it, feel the way, confidence leading every day. Hands up high, flags in the air, forward together everywhere. We know the road, we know the way, Barbados moving there to stay. When we help peace, Bajan succeed. When we help peace, Bajan succeed.
And that was the Lady Tony Moore. You see, tonight, I want us to be able to acknowledge these two books. Because I want you to know that these two books have a certain set of people cross, angry, miserable. Because this Barbados Labour Party believes in accountability. It believes I have told you what I will do. I have told you what I did. And I am telling you what is coming. That is what Bajan Strong means. It means to be accountable to the people of this nation. But as I said, tonight we're doing facts, not feelings. So fact, this Barbados Labour Party took a decision that it was going to bet on you. The same way we Barbadians bet of the Barbados Labour Party, the Barbados Labour Party said through the Trust Loans Program that if you come to me with a business plan, I am going to give you $5,000 so you could invest in yourselves, invest in your future, invest in the future of Barbados as a whole. Well, this Barbados Labour Party comes to you yet again and says, you know what? That 5,000 did you good. So here what? If you take 5 and come back, you can get 10. If you take 10 and come back, you can get 15. If you take 15 and come back, you can get 20. Bet who bet you, Barbados? Bet in the Barbados Labour Party. Because every victory we have had has been yours, Barbadians. Do not let them steal this from you. You helped us turn this country around. So never, ever, ever forget, you have done yourselves proud under the leadership of the Barbados Labour Party. And I implore you to keep betting on yourself. February the 11th, bet on Kay McConey, bet on Endorsement, and bet on the doctor herself. The lady I intend to bring to you now, a lady who proves that the Barbados Labour Party is a place where different ideas flourish. We listen and we care. The good doctor herself with the right medicine, Dr. Sonia Brown.
We going with Sonia Brown. We voting for Sonia. St. Philip North, Sonia Brown. She is the woman for the job. We going with Sonia Brown. We voting for Sonia. St. Philip North, Sonia Brown. She is the woman for the job. She gave you some representation in this constituency. She proved she could do the task and she do it reliably. You don't want a lot of long talk, but you need this consistency. So you don't have to think twice, put down your ex for she. We going with Sonia.
I see you walking up. Good night. Good night, everybody in St. Patrick's. It is my pleasure to be here. But I want to take this another direction. I want to bring you back. As the old lady and Golden Girls says, picture it before 2018. Because I'm watching the meetings of the other people, and they're bringing up some things like if they have forgotten where we came from. So let's take it back. I want to start with health because that's my pet area. You know this. I'm hearing people on the platform saying that the hospital is in a mess, and I'm not going to deny that we are pristine. I can't. But what I want to remind you is that we found the hospital in a mess. I was one of the first to get up in Parliament to advocate for the hospital, to say the crap that was going on, to talk about the wars and the patient care. But the DLP has forgotten. I want to remind people about where we have come from since 2018 with the healthcare services. I want to start there. When I got there as Minister in the Ministry, Minister of State in the Ministry of Health, after 10 years, we started back a cataract surgery. The Democratic Labour Party did no cataract surgeries for years. The numbers were piled up. I think at one point we had 600 cataract surgeries, people that needed surgery. The doctors, we got together and they agreed and they started knocking off the cataract surgeries 20 by 20, 20 by 20. We had people that were limping in wheelchairs for over 10 years. I had patients that were on the list for joint replacement surgery. They died before they got it. I want to remind the Democratic Labour Party of this. Joint replacement surgeries were started back in 2022 when I was there. I need to remind you. I want to talk about Barbados being a country where everybody from 0 to 110 will get free health care. Whether it be in the private sector, depending on your age, below 16, the medication is free. The health care at the polyclinic is free. I want to remind Barbados that the National Drug Service, the Barbados Drug Service, was started under the Barbados Labour Party in 1981. I want to remind them of that. That is where medication is offered free to the public. I checked the numbers today, and a simple medication, I know some of you might know it, diabetes and hypertension. In Barbados, if you spend more than $17 at most, because it's the government supplements, you spend a lot. Overseas, I checked the number, 3 months medication for that tablet is over $200 US and rising. This is what the National Drug Service, started by the Barbados Labour Party, has done for you. I want to talk about education. I just checked the numbers. I am a medical doctor, as all of you know, and I benefited from the free tuition that the government supplements and offers. I looked at the numbers. You know how much a medical degree costs? If I had the money or didn't have the money, $65,000 a year. And it's a 7-year course, roughly. That is what I would have had to pay under the Democratic Labour Party before we changed the rules and put it back that students in Barbados can enjoy free education. This is one of the things that Barbados is proud of, that our people are educated. This is our single most important resource. And the Democratic Labour Party attempted to take it from you. I want to remind us about, before we entered the election in 2018, how the garbage was all over these streets. My house, we ran out of cans to put the garbage in, and I'm sure yours too. The garbage was overflowing in Barbados, but yet I'm hearing them in the platform complain about sanitation and the garbage not being picked up. Most of us can boast, maybe not all, that there's a regular pickup of garbage in our districts. No. He mentioned the transport board, but I want to remind the opposition leader and, well, the then opposition leader, no, we dissolved, yeah, and the other members. I want to remind them that transportation was not pristine when we entered government. Transportation was downright horrible. It's deteriorated a little bit, but we get here. I look at the statistics, and we brought in several buses to add to the fleet. I think the government has spent $58 million thus far since 2018 on transportation to get our people to and from, to get you to the doctor, to get you to the polyclinic, to get you everywhere. That is how we do it. I want to remind us now, the buzzword for this week or so is VAT and decreasing VAT. Remember, who put on the VAT? Yes. Barbados Labour Party. But who took it up? The same people that are now asking for us to decrease it. It didn't make sense to me. But the problem is they do not have the plan to supplement when the VAT is missing. What happens to the finance? I am not the financier, so I won't linger on that. But these are some of the things that we face and that we're hearing. The manifesto mentions things like passage of the human transplant bill. Do you know what that will mean for Barbadians? I will tell you. Right now, we have a large set of individuals that are on dialysis, that are dying from kidney failure because of diabetes, hypertension, and other causes. You know what it will mean? And it's a human transplant. We're already doing kidney transplantation. But that bill will give us the opportunity to harvest organs from the deceased so that families can give to their relatives. We're talking about lens replacement, cornea replacement is the word I'm looking for. These are things, progressive things that Barbados needs to catch up on. And these are some of the manifesto promises. I got a whole book here talking about things. People forgot that when we enter, we decrease the VAT on the electric bills, that's the question. Decrease the VAT on the electric bills to 10%. Nobody remembers that. I'm in health. People are not remembering that things like the basket of goods has been expanded. There are several items that are no rated or zero rated, no VAT. We're talking about healthy items. We're trying with the NCDs. Healthy items that people can be healthy. And so that if you can buy healthy items, People complain it's a strain on your pocket, but look at it this way. If you could buy healthy items for your diabetes and hypertension, you don't have to visit the doctor as much and spend the $90 to $300 every so often. It's less of a burden at the hospital, which you know is inundated with non-tertiary care things. People go there for the cough and cold and many things, but that's where education in the public comes in. These are the things that we did. Things like baby items. We took the VAT off. Diapers, baby food. Things for the diabetics like Glucerna, you know these supplements. Many people in front of me must be diabetic, according to our numbers. These are things that we did as a country. I know Kay worked hard. One of the things that I really admired her for was the national ID. It got a lot of flack, it got a lot of talk, and it made it my business to talk to somebody that did it. And it's necessary, it's totally necessary. You see the confusion now with the voters list, what people complaining about? The ID cards are necessary and futuristic. The days of walking around the blue ID with all the dog ears on every corner are gone. Kay did that, as far as I remember. Kay did that. Kay was instrumental of talking about health again in the school nutrition policy, where we are providing meals now, healthier meals, less salt, less sugar, to the public, to your children. People complain, but it's our duty to really guide people in the right direction for healthier lives. Kay was a major part of that, along with the Ministry of Health. And kudos to her for that. So there are many, 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 many things. I'm trying to think. I have a whole book. We have the elderly to think about. The new geriatric hospital is almost completed. Up to today and yesterday, I have people reaching out to me that they don't have choices in terms of looking after the old people. Some of them take the chance of leaving them at home alone. What about a house fire? Some of them only have one child. Some of the old people have children and none of them will look at them. But we have a program where we have a free system for the geriatric care. Not only that, but the government supplements, if they're in a private home, actually supplements the cost of them being there. So we are doing things. And to hear people saying that the Barbados Labour Party has done nothing in the 7+ years that we were here is almost hurtful. The last time I spoke on this ground, I'm a little ashamed of it, but I think you remember I burst out in tears for my country. It was a little embarrassing, and I promise not to do it tonight, but I burst out in tears for my country. But when I think that as a self-employed person, way back in the day, NIS did not provide enough provisions, not so way back for the self-employed. Now we have that self-employed will be paid for maternity leave and sick leave and everything. How many people boast in that? You need to remind the Democratic Labour Party, remind them, because their history is poor. They don't read, they don't watch social media, they don't do anything like that. They don't remember that the non-contributory pensions were increased. And I think some of the people that are actually running might have benefited from that. There are some old folks that mixing up the words, and perhaps he's benefiting from it. These are things we have introduced. We have lengthened the maternity leave by another 2 weeks. You know how many times I have to give mothers sick leave and pray to God and NAS don't call me because they're not ready to go back to work? We have increased that by another 2 weeks. We have even added a paternity relief for 2 weeks that the fathers will have no excuse but to wake up in the night and help look after the child. That is for you. The Barbados Labour Party has done so much. We haven't done everything right. I will be the first to admit it. You know me. But we have done a lot right. Housing. I like the social sector. This is why I speak to you of it. Housing. Since we got in, we have provided housing. I think every MP has seen to it that their constituents got a piece of the rock. I had many myself that got a piece of the rock. But not only that, the manifesto says, at least in St. Philip North to be precise, there will be 42 acres allotted at Dodds, which will provide how much? 266 lots. Vineyard, they're using 140 acres. 40 of those acres are for 400 houses. That is what the Barbados Labour Party, and I need to remind you of this. The legacy of Barbadians and their parents before then, that they had to own a piece of the rock. And the Barbados Labour Party is doing so. These are things that I need to remind people of. There's help, more help for the disabled. I have women that are older than I am that have disabled children. And you know what the first thing they worry about? They worry about if they die, what will happen to their adult child. I call it adult child. The Barbados Labour Party, under the Prime Minister, Mia Motley, has added more benefits to the disabled so that they could be a part of the community and feel like a part of the community. The National Insurance Scheme, I'm still with the NIS thinking, is providing help for those financially. Welfare has been increased. These are the things that I need to remind the public when they're wondering if to vote or not to vote because they've been seeing the MP to think on. And I was just having a discussion with Tony. And the truth is, we hear a lot that you have not been on the ground, nobody is seeing you, but both of us have very large constituencies. And does the work that we show you suggest that we don't know what's going on? We're working, and we're working hard. The Democratic Labour Party, especially the men that seem to have no consideration for women whatsoever, although they have mothers and sisters and aunties and friends that are female, do not understand what it means to be a female politician. And I want to say it here, on behalf of Kay and Tony and the other females in the party, we have families. When the fellas stay late at Parliament to have a drink, you know where they head? Home. To prepare a meal for the little one I have, not so little now. But for a female politician, it is extremely hard, even harder than a male, to reach every single soul of the 11,000 people I have in my constituency. And Kay will have difficulty in reaching every single soul. I don't know her numbers in her constituency. And so does Tony. And so does Indar, since we must include the men, I suppose. But the fact that you would decide not to vote because you have not seen the MP since the last election, which is just about 3.5 years ago, I think, is an excuse. You know what we are doing. You see it in print. You hear it on the news. You see it on social media. You hear it on the platforms. That is an excuse. You need to come out. You need to vote. I am not saying blindly to do what your grandparents have done and your great-grandparents have done, but in the quiet of the night, in the stillness of the night, when you wake up at 3 o'clock to go to the bathroom like many of us do, I just want you to think on it. Think on it when nobody's around to influence you. Think about what the Barbados Labour Party has done and is doing. Think about where you came from before 2018 for 10 years of nothingness. In the still of the night, I want you to think, does it make sense to stay home? Because you know where you got, but you don't know where you can get. You cannot take it for granted that we will get the election, we will win the election, but we need your help. For sure we need your help. Nobody can take it for granted. So on the 11th of February, which is next week, is not so far away, next week, I need you to make up your mind and put logic to it and know that the Barbados Labour Party has work to continue. We're not asking for a chance to correct things. We're asking for a chance to continue on the trajectory that we have been on. In the still of the night, I want you to think of these things and call your next door neighbor and say, you know, I think we need to vote. This so-called voter apathy can't work. We need to vote, and we need to display the right that black people and women have fought for decades and centuries, to have the opportunity to vote for your government, to get the right government to work for you. This is what I want you to consider. I'm not going to take up the 20 minutes, but those are a few of the things that burn me when I hear them on the platform in their spot meetings that don't have half of this crowd. But these are things that burn me. So think on it. There's a little red book that is being distributed everywhere, and it shows you the path we have come and the manifesto shows you the path we are going. So with that, I want to encourage you to come out to vote, do what you know is right, to have a good night, sleep well, and God bless.
Good afternoon, my name is Michelle Belgrave, known as Kizzy, from Farm Road, housing area St. Philip, Constituency St. Philip West. My MP is Kay McConey. All my life, coming along with farm gardens, this is more than 30 years, we had asbestos. When the rain falls, it actually leaks through the roof, where the water is actually brown. No, it is not healthy. And I met my MP, Kay McConey. That's when I got a relief. I had my roof changed. My roof was sealed. And I am so happy now for all she's done for me, especially for the roof. I'm so happy about it. I want to say a big thank you. Thank you so very much. I appreciate everything.
Barbados, from parish to parish, we ready. Morning light on the island breeze, hard work, strong roots, big dreams. From the coast to the hills we rise, same heartbeat under blue skies. We've been steady, we've been strong, building Barbados all along. You can see it, feel the way, confidence leading.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Thank you, Dr. Brown. Things are good in St. Philip North. You know, I heard Dr. Brown mention just now that Ronald Jones was the Minister of Education when the free tertiary education came to an end. And if you remember earlier, I said to you, those same characters are lurking in the background, and some of them are stepping forward. Ronald Jones was on the platform. Watch out. These same characters are coming again, and they will do no good. I want you to also remember who was the minister responsible for the Water Authority when the brown stuff was all over the South Coast. When the sewage was on the South Coast, remember who was the minister responsible then? A familiar fella, a bad behaved fella. Those same people are coming back again with the Democratic Labour Party. I am saying to you, you must not forget those people. They will come again and they will destroy this country if you make the mistake and elect them again. Please remember, it is serious. Look at their faces. Eswick, Jones, Seeley, Innes, Paul, they are all coming back. And I believe, I believe that the rat is not the worst of there. I believe that he is trading places, trading positions for support. Remember the boy who ran in St. John, who now left St. John so he can run up there, and he's running someplace else? He got a thank you. He was put in the Senate. These fellas, those same characters, they are going to come back, and I believe you will see them in the cabinet of this country again if you elect them. Ladies and gentlemen, remember these characters. We have a talented team in the Barbados Labour Party. We have a talented team here in St. Philip West. We have a talented team across this country. In St. Philip North, Tony Brown. In St. Philip South, Indar. And here in St. Philip West, your very own kid. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to remember the work she has done for you. You are seeing evidence here tonight on this platform. You can't take a chance with the Dems. I said it last night, and I'm going to say it again. We have in this Barbados Labour Party a team of competent, hard-working, dedicated people. There are men in the Democratic Labour Party and women in the Democratic Labour Party who have never even managed a snow cone cart, and they want to manage a country. We got men who can't balance a pancart load of mile and want to run a country. Madness, man, madness. Stay with the team that saw you through the hard times. Say it with the team who took you through COVID, the team that took you through the asphalt, the team that took you through the Elsa, the team that took you through Beryl, the team that brought you the increases, the team that brought you the upgrades, the team that brought you relief, the team that brought you the sanitation trucks, the team that brought you the electric buses, the team that brought you an increased economy, the team that brought you jobs, the team that brought you all the success that this country has seen in the last 8 years, the team Mia Amor Motley. Mia cannot be Prime Minister again unless you give her key. Give her key. Will you give her key? Will you give her key? I say to you tonight, it would bless my heart and bless Mia's heart. Ladies and gentlemen, the candidate for the Barbados Labour Party for the constituency of St. Philip West. Your people, my girl, your girl. Ladies and gentlemen, the Barbados Labour Party's candidate and the next representative again for the constituency of St. Philip West, Kay McConey.
Good night to the people of St. Patrick's. I come to you, Bajan strong, St. Philip strong, with Sonia Brown and Indar, so that we can be part of the continued leadership of this Barbados Labour Party and this country. You know, when I came into office as a member of parliament for St. Philip West, I said to you then, and I have kept my commitment to this community, that I was going to be community at the core and people at the center. And tonight, the few minutes that I have here with you, I want to share some of what I have done in this constituency. As Sonia and Indar certainly will share some of what they have done to keep St. Philip strong. First of all, let me say that it is really good to see Yorkshire Road, a brand new road. Many people said that Yorkshire Road could not be done, but I get it done. The Barbados Labour Party got that road done, and now we are able to be on this field right next to it, enjoying safer travel with less potholes and less damage to our vehicles. We now have a community road here that connects us to other parts of Barbados, connects St. Philip to Christchurch. And I have to tell you that the Barbados Labour Party has never forgotten St. Philip. Has never forgotten St. Philip when it has come to roads. And I started here because I am taking you on a journey along the road of my service here. Community spaces is one of the commitments that I made when I was on the campaign trail in 2022. Why? Because my mother, who's here in the audience, she had me young. And it took an entire community to raise me. And as a result, my commitment to community at the core goes to the heart of who I am. And I believe that if we strengthen communities, we will strengthen Barbados. And as part of my effort to strengthen communities, I have worked not only with community organizations, including the Waldron Give Back the Love community not far from here, where from beginning to end, from their formation to now, I have consistently been a sponsor, a support, and someone who has been steadily supporting them. As part of community development, I have been working with churches across our community. Because when we talk about Bajan strong has to be about spiritually strong. And the work that I have done with churches has gone from everything from supporting their music ministries to being able to replace the ceiling and the roof and repainting churches in this community, to collaborating with them on back to school. Every single year since I came to office as the Member of Parliament, I have supported in excess of 200 children every single year in terms of going back to school. Because that means that we have to have community support in community. Part of community at the core means creating community spaces across St. Philip West. So far, 4 community spaces, community parks have been beautified, have been developed, 2 of them from scratch. For those of you who have passed Oldbury Terrace, there were Miyamosi trees stretching as far from the back of this green building all the way to the trees in the back. And it removed all of them, dug up the roots, regraded the fields, and with the help of the Clean and Green, the Ministry of the Environment, Adrian Ford, and the team of the NCC, we now have close to 15 fruit trees. We have benches, we have seesaws, we have swings, and now that area that was all Miyamosi trees is now a beautiful community park. We did a lighting ceremony at Christmas, and the beautiful thing is close to 75 people from that community came out. And you know what was the thing that gladdened my heart? So many of those people who live in that community had never met each other. That is what creating community spaces are for. To bring community together. Community spaces have included, for me, also some of the playing fields that we have around here. Chapel, over on the other side of St. Philip West, on the northern side. We put lights out there, supported the cricket team. Over here in Lowthers by Gordon Walters, lit that field so that now we are able to have night football and night cricket. And I know that the people have been calling for a pavilion. And when I met with the Waldron community just about a week and a half ago, they asked that we also add a resource center to that pavilion, and your MP Kay McConey will be working to ensure
that just as we got this road that they said could not be done, that we will also be getting that pavilion and that resource center. It will take some advocacy. It will take us pushing. But I tell you, I will not give up in the interest of this community. At Harlington, near St. Martin's, right on the border with Indarware, we now have, if you pass out there, a brand new outdoor gym that will see the wellness of the people in that community, creating community spaces that matter. And if you pass by Charnock's, just that big field opposite the airport, you will see that there are already some gold bars on the ground there, as part of the effort that has been championed by the Prime Minister through her annual football competition, Prime Minister's Cup. There are a number of fields across Barbados that will become football-only fields because the Prime Minister herself has championed the effort to make sure that as this sport is growing in Barbados, that we are able to find facilities that are not taken up with other things. And so to St. Philip West in Charnock's, we will get our football-only field, and the work has already begun. Community spaces. You know, I talked to you about roads a little earlier because I really had to compliment the work done here on Yorkshire Road. Now we know that some things are not perfect, and we will go back and we will make sure that we have righted any single wrong that has been done. Not that there were any wrongs done, but there are people who said they would like the sides graded a little differently to prevent some flooding. I will certainly continue to advocate for relief of that. But I also want to tell you that over again to the northeast of this constituency in Cottage Vale, 40 years those people waited for a road, but Cottage Vale has also begun. In addition, Farm Road, Congo Road, which just borders on Sonia Brown and myself and Indar, just coming out of 6 Roads, going up past the market. That road is now scheduled to begin in the next couple months. This Barbados Labour Party is looking out for the people of St. Philip. And I want those people in Charnock's, those people in Fairview, those people in Brayton, those people in Edgecombe, those people across this constituency to know that a number of those cart roads have already been identified by the Ministry of Transport and Works as roads that will gain attention. Just August last year, when we had a community meeting up in Farm Gardens, St. Philip, just past 6 Roads, the minister responsible for transport and work, Santia Bradshaw, acknowledged the list of roads that I have submitted on behalf of the people of this constituency. I am working for you. And I want to tell you that Woodburn and Leadville and this connecting road that runs from the St. Patrick's roundabout, and I hope that by the time the end of February comes, I can call that roundabout by a different name. I'll tell you a little bit about that later. But that road that runs from the St. Patrick's roundabout straight through Waldron through to Charnock's, that too has been a road that has been placed on the list for priority attention, as well as that long road that runs from the bottom of Coverley all the way through Leadville. That road too has been placed for some priority assistance. I have not listed all the roads, so if you did not hear your road, don't think that it has not been placed on the list and that I will not be advocating, because I will be advocating to ensure that the people of St. Philip West and the people of St. Philip, because many of these roads connect to other parts of the area and to surrounding areas as well. And our people deserve better. But I want to talk to you about the work that I have been doing with youth in business. And I have to thank Sir Richard Cheltenham for the assistance and the sponsorship he gave to the program that was called the Weed Whacker Loan Program. You saw earlier a video of a young man named Terrell. Terrell was a young man who did landscaping business, but his equipment broke down and he could not make a living. And it is because of the Weed Whacker Loan Program that still continues at our constituency office to this day. That young man was able to come and get a weed whacker free of cost and go out there and break some work. He continues today to benefit from that, and I will tell you, there are dozens of other young people who have benefited from that program, and I intend to keep that program running. Part of my work with young people, and I don't know if you've seen the video yet, but there's also one with a young man named Shaq, who came to me initially asking for a job. And through assistance and helping him register the business name, directing him to funding and getting him involved in Project Dawn and providing other assistance, he now has 2 thriving businesses as a result of the intervention that we have made. Working with young people in business is something that I am passionate about. And it is not anything that started after I became the Member of Parliament. In 1995, when our now Prime Minister was the Minister of Education, Youth and Culture, I worked with her to set up the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme that is now 31 years old and going strong. So the work that I have done with youth in business is something that I intend to continue 30 years after doing that work with our current Prime Minister. I also want to talk about the Job Works program that we have put in place here for the people of St. Philip West. And I want to talk about it because, again, that was work that I was doing before I came in to office as a Member of Parliament. And I thank Theo Franklin, with whom I developed that program and who was one of the first managers. And Theo happens to be a young man from Boat Hay. A young man who came up in the church right behind us. I have not only worked for this community, I have chosen to work with the community. And the Job Works program, which has 3 parts: readiness for the job, placement in a job, and then support after you get the job. And in all 3 segments of the Job Works program, more than 300 people, most of them young people, have now benefited from that program. I have chosen to serve through programs. And sometime tonight, maybe you will also get to see the video of a young woman. She was a woman who came to me saying she wanted a government job. You know, that's the usual thing. And I asked her, but what is it that you really wanted to do from when you were back in high school? What was your dream? And the story she told was one of life circumstances caused her not to pursue what she wanted to do. She got derailed. And she got on with life doing anything she could make a hand at. She came to me, and it is through the Elevate program, which is a scholarship program for adults, that she was able to go to one of the career development institutions programs, and she is now, having done the internship, she is now working for 3 years in early childhood development. It is not just about asking people to dream, but my job as your member of parliament is to help people to actually catch their dreams. 59 people so far have benefited from my Elevate scholarship program. And let us talk about literacy. Many of you know that literacy is a challenge in this country. And one of the first programs that I did after coming into office as your member of parliament was to do the Learning to Read, Reading to Learn program. And the Learning to Read was for the 5 to 7s. And the Reading to Learn was for the 8 to 11s. And I see some parents out here whose children have benefited from this program. And to you, I say thank you for allowing me to serve you and your family in the way that I have. That program will continue in the summer. And of course, I want it to be when I am still your member of parliament, but whether or not I am, but I know I will be. That summer program, Reading to Learn, Learning to Read, will also continue. I want to talk about the Waterworks program. There were a number of persons across this constituency who could not get potable water in the frequency that they would like and at the times that they would like. And through the Waterworks program, 45 households in this constituency now have potable water tanks, and 7 small farmers now have water for their irrigation. It is programs. You heard some of the people in their testimonials earlier. I don't have to tell you this. Go to my IG page and other places, and you will hear other people tell you the stories of the service that Kay McConey, as their member of parliament, have given. But I want to divert now from the work that I have done to some of the work that the Barbados Labour Party has done in St. Philip, to the benefit of all persons of St. Philip. And I want to talk about 6 Roads. 6 Roads has been a hub for transportation and other things for a long time. But I want you to know that the plans of the Barbados Labour Party is to develop 6 Roads into a town, the town in the east. For St. Philip West, St. Philip North, St. Philip South, for all of St. Philip, and for all of the surrounding communities. You will have seen the investment that is going into 6 Roads by the private sector. You see a little iMart and a Starbucks, and you see a whole bunch of other businesses that are investing in 6 Roads. And our government, our Barbados Labour Party government, believes that we need to do the investment in 6 Roads in collaboration with the people and the private sector. And so you will see that coming very soon. There is a new civic center in 6 Roads that will include ambulance, fire, magistrates court, new police station, the post office, and other amenities that are part of a civic center in that area. Now we know that traffic management is going to be a thing, and therefore our Ministry of Transport and Works have already started to do the work that will ensure that that civic center and the additional investment that will be going up in 6 roads to the benefit of the people of St. Philip, all of St. Philip and their surrounding areas, that we will be able to move in a manner that is safe and seamless. And I want to big up my colleague Kirk Humphrey and the Ministry for People Empowerment and Elder Affairs. The Social Empowerment Agency, there is a pretty new blue building. When you pass Emerald City going up St. Cyril's on the left-hand side, SEA, the Social Empowerment Agency, is an agency that brings together welfare, what used to be the Welfare Department, the National Assistance Board, the Child Care Board, the Disabilities Unit. And rather than you having to butt out Barbados and with a little bit of money you have pay bus fare to run from pillar to post to get one service or the next, SEA, the Social Empowerment Agency that is now in 6 roads, you can go to one place and get access to all of the services. This is about transforming the way we do service and social services in this country, bringing the services to the people and doing it in such a way that it is convenient and that the quality of service, I know significant work is being done to ensure that it is not just a pretty new building, but that the quality of service is something that will change. 6 roads, I must say to you, with the priority that this Barbados Labour Party has placed on St. Philip, is the very first of the social empowerment agencies that will be a part of us. And I say to you now, I want to move to future plans that I have for this constituency. And there's a young lady, a youth commissioner in this area by the name of Sharika. Sharika, raise your hand. She's standing over there, trying not to raise her hands too high. Sharika has been doing research in this community. And it is that research that continues to inform the programs that I will put in place. I am not coming in here with any harebrained ideas. I am not sucking things out of my thumb or walking about saying the things that I think people want to hear. I am grounding the programs that I am putting in place for this community in research that is targeted and that tells us what is required. And so this St. Philip West community, you can expect launching in June of this year, in collaboration with our youth commissioner and others, the Family Cares program. The Family Cares program comes out of research that tells us that a number of our young people and our families are experiencing serious mental health issues. The kind that allows people to function every day and seem quite unperturbed. But in fact, there are some deep-seated things happening that are destroying families. And so the Family Cares program has 3 elements. It has the family education where we dine together. You dine with us. And through that fun and playful medium, we do family education. We have counseling, we have coaching, and we have critical life support, what we call critical life support services. Because sometimes families are having a challenge because the choice between whether you get the medication for granny or you buy food is a decision that some are having to make. And so come June, the Family Cares program will be launched in support of community, building community and strengthening families. Additionally, there are a number of people in this community who have been asking, and we usually make referrals through our constituency office. Where do I get gluten-free things? Where do I get a plumber? Where do I get a carpenter? Where do I get all kinds of services? But they want those services close to home with people who can deliver quality. And so the Look Me Here Marketplace is part of a community initiative that will ensure that persons who are doing business in this community, that we as a community can support community and strengthen community by buying from our own, buying local, not only local in terms of Barbados or regionally, but we can also buy within our communities. Again, that has come from our interaction with our persons who have said that this is something that they would like to be a part of. And currently we have a whole bunch of people who are already a part of it. I have chosen to anchor this conversation with you tonight in the programs, the structured and targeted programs that I have put in place and will continue to put in place for this community. I am not here to pull down or pop down anybody. That is not the way my mother who's sitting there raised me. So if you came for the action and what I will say about people who said, that is not me. I am here to serve the people of St. Philip West. And I trust that the program that I have put forward to you to build, to strengthen families and to build community with community at the core and people at the center is something that you can see is being done for you. And as I close, I want you to consider your vote on February 11th, 2026. A vote for the other party, any other party than the Barbados Labour Party, I am telling you, can put this country in the danger zone from which this Barbados Labour Party has rescued this country. I want to ask you not to gamble on the future, on your future, your children's future, your family's future, or this country's future. You have a Prime Minister, Emir Amor Motley, who has brought respect back to the name of Barbados around the world, who has brought confidence back to investors. There were local investors in Barbados with money, but they weren't loosening their hands because they didn't have any confidence. There are foreign investors, persons from around the world, who are now coming to Barbados to invest and to bring foreign currency in this country because of the confidence that this Barbados Labour Party has brought back. And you know, recently somebody asked me, why y'all talking about this foreign currency and this foreign reserves? And I reminded this young lady and a group with whom I was speaking, all of you all who over Christmas went on Amazon and Shein and bought all that you bought, if this country does not have the adequate level of foreign reserves, you can't purchase. Because Amazon and Shein don't take Bajan dollars. So I am saying to you, while you say we speak of these things at that level, understand how simple things like bringing back currency, saving the Barbados dollar, and bringing foreign currency into this country will impact your direct lives and your freedom to live the kinds of lifestyles that you want. So not only has our Prime Minister brought back the name of Barbados and brought back confidence for people to invest in this country, she brought back stability and growth along with her entire team back to this economy. And now under her leadership, the Barbados Labour Party is on track to take this country forward with solid and sensible and sustainable ways that will get us through this hard time. The Barbados Labour Party has brought you through hard times before. And while we all are feeling the pinch of inflation, know that the Barbados Labour Party, we are proven, we are committed, and we are competent to lead you through this as well. And while I do not have the time to tell you, I want you to check out our manifesto, blp.org.bb, and you will get some of the printed copies very soon. And you will see the continued effort that we are seeking to make to ease the squeeze of inflation. I ask you to think really hard about who you would want leading this country as we weather the storms. It can't be them, and definitely not those others who are more concerned with tearing down than they are in building up. And as I close, I want now to ask, please, I ask now for a man, the Sir Richard Cheltenham, to join me on stage as we make an announcement that I think will bring joy to this community. Richard Cheltenham was raised in Sir Richard Cheltenham was raised in this community. His family has been here for 150 years. A number of the people here in this audience are still living on property that was either bought from his family or that they're renting from that family. This St. Patrick's Anglican Church continues to benefit from that man we also call Johnny. And I want to be the first to tell you that in honoring this son of the soil of St. Patrick's, in honoring those who have contributed to this community, that roundabout at St. Patrick's will be called the Richard Cheltenham Roundabout. This is community building and honoring community. On that note, I wish you a good night, and I look forward to receiving your X at the polls come February 11th, 2026. Kay McConey and the Barbados Labour Party, Sonia Brown and the Barbados Labour Party, Indarware and the Barbados Labour Party, Bajan strong, St. Philip strong, all the way.
Representative Kay McConey. But tonight we were blessed to honor our past and those who continue to walk with us and guide us into the future with Sir Richard Cheltenham. But coming now is a lady who has continued to lead us through turbulent waters. Coming now is a woman who has restored the faith of Barbados. She has restored your faith that your leaders know exactly what to do each and every time. She has restored your faith that your legislative branch, your leadership will always listen to you. Coming to you now is the Prime Minister of this nation. She who continues to lead us, to be an example to the world, to be an example to your children, because if they do not have examples, they will fall for anything. Please welcome the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Amour Motley. That is your Prime Minister.
Charge me, you in charge. I feel all the war gon' stop, cause invasion licking me up. Be just strong, all the we built up. My pain, but be breaking up. Coming here is family, me as a friend. You see my act, she gon' get it again. Wearing my red, I ain't worried with them. Cause I like how me and Molly does represent this country here to the end. Take charge, me, you in charge. Pick up me up, leading with confidence and strength. Experience, excellence and saying, take charge, me, you in charge. You in charge, you is the boss. Common crisis, clearing chaos. But in the work, you do the job and she got my trust. That is enough. Why, mean you for me? Why, mean you for we? Why, running the country firm and steady. Cause I like how me and Molly does represent this country here to the end. Take charge, me, you in charge. Pick up me up, leading with confidence and strength. Experience, excellence and say, take charge, me, you in charge. I feel all the war gon' stop, cause invasion licking me up. But be just strong, all the we built up. My pain, but be breaking up. Coming here is family, me as a friend. You see my act, she gon' get it again. Wearing my red, I ain't worried with them. Cause I like how me and Molly does represent this country here to the end. Take charge, me, you in charge. Pick up me. Ting-a-ling-a-ling. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I like how me and Molly does represent this country here to the end. Take charge, me, you in charge. Pick up me up, leading with confidence and strength. Experience, excellence and say, take charge, me, you in charge.
Why? St. Patrick's hot tonight. It's a pity you didn't go over in Rice's and help Ralph the other night.
Oh Lord.
You could have carried some lights for him too, because I hear the lights went off in the middle of his speech. If a man cannot find the tokens to put on the lights to finish his speech, pray tell how he gonna run Barbados.
Oh Lord.
But my friends, I have come to St. Patrick's full in the knowledge that it is in this community this party has been sustained in good and in bad times. It is in this community that even from the days of Grantley Adams, persons rose up to be able to defend the cause of labor. And today, it is no different. We are at a juncture in our country's life where the choice is clearer than it has ever been. And we have come to you to ask you to make that choice. The world that we live in is so different. But what is even more, the choices that we have to make to protect you and to continue to build for you are so clear. I heard tonight on this platform the voice of labor strong. I heard Wilfred Abrams. I heard the General Secretary of the Barbados Workers Union. I heard Dr. Sonia Brown. And then I heard your candidate, Kay McConey. And you know, just as I got here, I got a number of messages from people contrasting this platform with that of the Democratic Labour Party. And I think you know it more than any other, because I am offended that a man who knows better, who has been raised to do better, could continue with the kind of diatribe and attacks against women in particular.
but members also of this party. And I'm not going to dwell on it, but I believe fundamentally that as a leader of a party, you do not have control over everything that any and everybody says. I know it firsthand. But I equally know that my responsibility is to set tone and to lead, and in the words of that song, to take charge. And if one of my candidates would be so offensive to Bajan women and equally to members of the Barbados Labour Party, then I would have to put him or her in their place. We had an incident that we did not condone in St. Lucie, where a little child got the mic and let go a word that they should not have. We didn't put the child on stage. We had nothing to do with it. But the General Secretary of the Labour Party accepted responsibility, apologized, and spoke out against it. When they came to me, I did the same. And I say to you tonight, when a man shows you who he is, believe him. And you have seen it from David Eswick over and over and over and over. And one would have thought that the years would have mellowed him. I don't have nothing against Eswick, but I have something against everything in his behavior on this platform and in his behavior as a minister of government that still has us paying the cost for his behavior. I don't believe that Ralph Thorne can be seriously thinking about Barbados first or BIM first when he can condone that behavior, knowing full well that half of this country is women, knowing full well that he too has a daughter, knowing full well that that language runs contrary to everything that we stand for. But what is even more amazing is that a man talks about Barbados first, but if you want to hear the vision for Barbados, you have to go on Trinidad and Tobago television today to listen. And I asked myself, with his yellow tie, who is his paymaster? Or in the words of Errol Barrow, who is he a satellite for? Because if you are interested in outlining a vision, then you should do what you intended to do, which was to go to Gall Hill tomorrow night and produce a manifesto. But now we are hearing that that too will not happen until Saturday. Is it because they have something to hide? Is it because they are not ready? But whatever the reason, that is not how you expect to be able to make a choice. And I come to the choice that you have to make. This Barbados Labour Party has set out clearly programs that we are continuing and programs that we want to start. And you heard Sonia and Kay tonight remind you of a number of things that we have done to be able to ease the burden for you. And I'm not going to repeat all of them because you have the red book and you heard them tonight. But I'm going to stay focused on the future because I am asking you to allow me and this Labour Party to protect your future and to guide you and to guide this country at a time when the world is seeing the most perilous of times, at a time when our Barbados will remain fragile to things not done only inside, but in particular to things outside. Cost of living is the most perfect example. And we, over the years, did things to protect you by asking the merchants in the price compact to cap. I beg you, take off that light in my face, please. I want to see people when I talk. with them. We asked the merchants in the price compact to be able to cap their markup to 10 to 15%, because we knew what was happening. And we turned around, and that lasted for the 2 years virtually, where the prices were at their worst. The increases were at their worst. We then turned around and we capped basic electricity. Thank you so much. Turn it right down. I want to see my people. When we capped the VAT on electricity for basic usage, and tonight your electricity in this country still benefits from a reduced VAT as a result. And you know why we could do it then? Because we know that the savings would be passed on to you. But when you go and reduce VAT across the board, that was our intention too before we came into government. But we were advised and we recognized, and we looked in Europe and we looked all over the world. When prices go up and you reduce VAT, people don't bring them back down. So that we have taken a decision to put the money directly back in your pocket. And I want you to reason with me tonight. And if I have to say it in every community between now and the 11th of February, I will do it, because Bajans must understand what we are talking about and how we will help them. For those persons, straight talk, who get in the $1,300, people who earn under $2,080 a month, we have said we understand you. And that $1,300 will now move to $1,700 from December of this year. That money is not going into no merchant hands. All the talk, it is coming into each and every one of you in your pocket. We have also said that those of you who earn between $2,080 and $2,916 a month, that you too must now get a reverse tax credit. But because you earn a little more than the rest, your reverse tax credit will now be $750 coming to you from December of this year as well. And those same people who will now get that reverse tax credit, every month they pay about $100 in tax. You know what happens when they file? They get back every single cent that they paid in tax. $1,250 on average of the year. And my friends, we do it because for 7 years now, 6 years really, we have been giving back those persons that $1,250 on average. Some cases is $900, some cases is $1,000, some cases is $800, but the $1,250 is the maximum that they will pay in tax. So that when people say, well, how this can work and how it has worked for the last 6 years. And over 18,000 Bajans have been getting back that compensatory income credit. I want to break it down and give it a different name so that people will understand what it is. Because really and truly all that is a government meeting turn. It's a meeting turn. You paying the money to government in tax when the month comes, and at the end of the year, so long as we can afford it, we give it all back to you. And every single year we have given it back to you. Well, we want now to extend that meeting turn to those of you in this audience and in this country and listening to my voice, working in Barbados, from $2,916 a month to $4,166 a month. Police constables, nurses, admin people. Think about it, people working in the private sector. If you earning $4,000 a month, you would have had to pay $2,875 in taxes when the year come. in PAYE, on average, $270 a month. We are now saying to you, we're not going to reduce VAT for the merchants to keep the savings. We're going to give you back the savings. And the savings will come in at a time after you file, you will get back $2,875 that you paid $270 month by month by month by month for 12 months. Now, if that is not a government meeting turn, I don't know what it is. So that it means that effectively all persons earning $50,000 and under in Barbados will pay no income tax. Tell me which other government in the Caribbean doing that for you? And we do it knowing that you now need to be properly protected and buffered. And because when we came in, the Dems left us with a BREC government. We couldn't do it before. And we did it little by little by little between 2019 and now. But let me go further. Pensioners. Those pensioners here, all contributory and non-contributory, those persons who receive the special needs grant, we introduced that for all persons who are disabled in this country, adult or children, because we know the hell that families have to go through just to make ends meet once they have to take care of a disabled person. And all recipients of welfare, all of you will get $1,200 a year. And you can choose to take it $100 a month, or you could take it quarterly, or you could take $600 every 2 months, every 6 months, or you can take the full $1,200 at the end of the year if you have a big bill that you need to pay. This is called a cost of living cash credit. And I explained last night in Holders Hill that we can't adjust the pensions just so, particularly the contributory and the non-contributory, without adjusting what you have to pay to the NIS as contributions. And therefore, because we didn't want to distort a system that we've just fixed, central government will provide the money, and it will cost us $78 million a year to provide that $1,200 to every Bajan once a year in this country. All pensioners, all disabled persons getting the special needs grant, and all welfare recipients. But we go further. All welfare recipients, as of the 1st of March, will have all of the benefits that they receive increased by 30%. So that, my friends, if you were getting $100 in a benefit, you will now get $130. If you were getting $300, you will now get $390. And all of these matters have been properly costed, properly ready for execution, unlike Mr. Thorne, who can't even tell you what the reduction in VAT to 15% would mean, or how much abolishing taxes for pensions for everybody would cost, or all of the other things that he is just throwing out of his mouth because he knows he will not win an election come Wednesday, February 11th. And I go further. This notion that you can just attack and run is easy if you're in opposition and you don't expect to win. And that is exactly the line of approach that Ralph Thorne and the Democratic Labour Party are taking now. I say it is regrettable, because I knew the Democratic Labour Party to be a serious political institution in this country. You saw Sir Richard Cheltenham come on this platform, and he himself has been a student of history, and he would tell you the extent to which that party has now degenerated. But I want you to know that we have a responsibility to protect this country while they rebuild. They cannot practice on you and Bajans, because when they practice on you and Bajans, they're likely to do what? Fall off, and you become the victims of it all. But I go further. We have constructed a manifesto that is intended to help you and this country. Sonia spoke about the geriatric hospital. We haven't limited it to that. Right here in St. Philip at Sterling will be the first senior citizens village and village for disabled adults that we are building in this country. And we have said we will do it parish by parish by parish by parish. Even as we are building the one at Sterling, we have the plans for the one at Edgehill in St. Thomas and the one for Odell's Glen in St. George. And this is a government that is serious about executing these policies, not just talking about them. You heard Sonia tell you about people who come to her as a doctor all the time, and they're trying to find somewhere to be able to have their older people go. I have also discussed with the line ministers the possibility of using old primary schools that we are not using anymore as daycare centers for both the very, very young who are not ready to go to school and the very old, where the kids, the children are working and have nobody to stay at home with their elderly parent. In the same way that during COVID we introduced the community elder care program, and across Barbados at a cost of over almost $10 million a year, we make sure that we hire people beyond the home helpers to go in people's houses and to help take care of people who help build this country and make sure that we could be where we are today, and who deserve to be able to live out their years, their silver years, with dignity and with elegance. My friends, when you add all of that to the minimum wage that has just gone up last month to $10.71, people living in St. Patrick's and across St. Philip, when we came to office, working as a shop assistant, working as a gas station worker, we're getting $6.25 an hour. They're now getting $10.71 an hour for the same job. So when something is working, my friends, do you break it up or do you keep it close to you? I ask you tonight to look at the difference between what is your choice. A government led by me, or a government that Ralph Thorne wants to lead. Ralph Thorne left the people of St. Michael North. He didn't tell them he was leaving. He left the people before that in St. Michael Northeast. He didn't tell them he was leaving. He left the people in Christchurch South, as you know, and he didn't tell them he was leaving. I genuinely believe that if the people of St. John get rid of Ralph Thorne next Wednesday, the Democratic Labour Party will not even know when Ralph leaves them too. This is not a plaything or a man who is consumed with acting. And I ask you tonight to recognize that our country's future stability is at the center. Some people are complaining about the roads. The roads will be fixed. We fixed hundreds of kilometers. We have more to fix. And Ryan Thorne, who has just walked in here, Ryan will tell you that in addition to the highways and the large roads that are being fixed, in October last year, we made an additional $15 million available to the Ministry of Public Works to be able to fix tenantry roads and residential roads. And these things we can now do because we have stabilized this economy. Dr. Greenidge, the governor of the central bank, told you that there are now 18 straight quarters of growth. Under the Democratic Labour Party, they had 23 downgrades. And this country is growing, and your government is managing it responsibly and making sure that you get a piece of the action. Last year, when the corporation taxes came in at a higher level, we said we can't change the tax structure yet because we want to watch and see how it is doing. And we kept it for another year. And thank God, what we saw then is what we are seeing now, which has allowed us to make these announcements to you with respect to the reverse tax credit or the government meeting turn or indeed the amount for pensioners. I didn't mention that the people earning $75,000 and less will also not pay taxes. Earning as a pension also will not pay taxes on the first $75,000 in this country. So that the government is responsibly adjusting to make your life easier wherever we can. And last year, when we couldn't do the tax structure, we did the solidarity allowance because we told you, share the burden, share the bounty, and every child over the age of 18 got the benefit. Every person over the age of 18 got the benefit of the $300 that we gave. There were some households that got 4 persons living in there, and each of the 4 persons ended up with the same 300. 4 times 3 is what? 1,200. So I have come to St. Patrick's tonight to ask you to vote for Kay McConey. I started by telling you how important this district has been to this party. And Johnny Cheltenham, you have, through the National Honors Committee, and I want to remind you that whereas before people just gave names to things in this country, buildings and places, we put a system in place for the public to be able to nominate persons, and for the National Honors Committee that gives the honors of independence to decide who should be the beneficiary of those honors or renaming. And tonight you heard that that committee, some 6 or 8 weeks ago, agreed to rename the roundabout there the Richard Cheltenham roundabout. And Johnny, it is well deserved. You have been a pillar of this community. You had the honor of representing a part of it when it was part of Christchurch East. And irrespective of the fact that you no longer lived here, you did what all good Bajans should do: maintain a relationship with the community of their birth. And I want to salute you. The people of St. Patrick's Church and the people of St. Patrick's know that you have never, never, never left them out in this community. And as for Kay McConey, I say that Kay has excelled at so many things in her life. You heard Wilfred talk about her training as an athlete and representing this country as a young lady. She represented us in Toronto and in Geneva. And I had cause to ask her to come back home and to help us do the heavy lifting because of her training and expertise. You heard Sonia speak about her role in the National Digital ID project, the Trident ID. Today, she is helping me manage the investments that come into this country. And that is why, even as we speak, there are things that we do as a matter of course. You know, the Democratic Labour Party used to make sure that they fleece people in projects. In our case, we say no. We want you to adhere to planning gains and planning obligations. and we find projects for people to adopt. In St. Peter, the people building the Pendry Hotel are building a market for the residents of Six Men's. In Bridgetown, the people with the Afro-Exim Bank and the Hyatt are both putting, in the case of the Hyatt, $2 million in the Urban Transformation Fund. In the case of the Afro-Exim Bank, $7 million in the Urban Transformation Fund. We are using these funds and others like it to help build out community facilities and to help us lift people out of poverty, particularly with the pit eradication program and the construction of sanitary facilities. This government will not rest until we remove every single pit toilet in Barbados, because we have said nobody in the third decade of the 21st century deserves to be using a pit toilet in this country. As it relates to other facilities in this community, Kay spoke to you about what is happening at Six Roads. And when we go to Six Roads in a few days' time, you will see the new Civic Center at District C, for District C, I should say, that will have the police station, will have the courts, will have the ambulance bay, will have all of the things other than the social empowerment agency, which we opened on the other side, down below it. And even that agency, we have already settled with the Ministry of Housing that the plot of vacant land behind it will be the location for the extension of that social empowerment agency, SEA, so that when people come to see the social workers and their children are with them, there can be a little playground that the children can go and play in while people aren't there. And you don't have to feel that you're in an institution that's treating you like somebody who you don't want to see. You have seen the other investments that have been fueled by this government's work in Six Roads. And we will continue to see it built out. We will address the traffic in Six Roads. We have been speaking to residents, and there may well be a need for us to cut a few more roads in order to give people other options to diffuse some of the traffic, in the same way that those of you who come to town, whether you come down by Norman Niles roundabout or whether you come down by Busser, you know the traffic in the mornings. But at last, this government is committing to build the flyovers, not next year, but should you re-elect us, the flyovers will start this year in terms of the planning and the construction. Because the traffic is too much, but let me be straight. You couldn't go and do that immediately when you were trying to stabilize the economy. Now that we have that stable, we're in a position to pick back up that contract which the Democratic Labour Party terminated foolishly in 2008. Could you imagine if that contract that Owen Arthur presided over had been completed by 2010? How easy the traffic would be flowing, because when you come down from St. Philip in the morning, you have to give way to the traffic that is already on the highway. But if the traffic that is already coming across the ABC highway has a flyover to go over the roundabout, then it means that you can keep flowing smoothly right through the roundabout and into Bridgetown as you go forward. That is what we are doing as your stewards and with your funds. And to the people of St. Patrick's and Lowthers, I commit to you tonight that the Community and Resource Center that you've been asking for will be yours as well within the next 2 years. And I say the next 2 years because I don't promise things that can't happen immediately. The ministry already has a number of projects in play, but we in the Ministry of Sports are looking to see how best we can find a design and construction of sporting pavilions and community centers that don't cost $1 million or $750,000, but can be fit for purpose and resilient nonetheless. And we give you that commitment because we recognize that this community is an established, settled community and needs those opportunities if it is to make sure that the children and the elderly persons in here are appropriately taken care of without having to go to Bridgetown or without having to go to 6 Roads. So my friends, the choice is yours. The choice is yours. You can choose to truly make next week, starting from Sunday, a red week. Because if you keep the red up on the 11th of February, on Wednesday, I can assure you that you will have the best Valentine's Day ever on Saturday, the 14th of February. I tell you, a lot of men will be happy and a lot of women because they can come and love up and celebrate with us rather than having to go and look money for a restaurant to carry out and to have to choose. But I say to you in truth, make next week your date with destiny. This country deserves to keep climbing and to keep soaring. I haven't spoken to you tonight about the Bajan birthright. But all the children born after the 30th of November 2021, and there are no politics in it. All of the children born after the 30th of November 2021, the children of the Republic of Barbados, must be given a start in life, and we shall do it with the Bajan birthright dividend. $5,000 worth of shares in a fund that when it gets to 18, when they get to 18 or to 25, they have it to rely on to give them a start in life. Can you imagine if every Bajan had had that from since before? Can you imagine? So my friends, I leave you to go to Bush Hall. And I leave you with a heart that is full of love for you, the people of St. Patrick's. And I leave you with a simple request. We have never forsaken you in this community, and we will never do so. And I ask you to stand up and give Kay McConey the vote on Wednesday, the February the 11th. And for those who have come down from the north of St. Philip, or for those in Dar who have come across from the south with you, I ask you to please give Dr. Sonia Brown your vote in St. Philip North, and I ask you to please give in Darware your vote in St. Philip South. And I look forward to coming back into St. Philip over the next few nights and to making whole the relationship between this government and the people of St. Philip, because in all that we have done, you have seen the progress and you will continue to see the progress and the benefits, not just in your community, but in your pockets. With that, let us make this deal real. And on 12th of February, let there be a clear understanding that Barbados has chosen and Barbados is keeping on track with Barbados Labour Party. Good night and God bless you.
I like how me and Molly does represent this country here to the end. Take charge, me you in charge. Pick up me leading with confidence and strength, experience, excellence and strength. Take charge, me you in charge. I feel all the war gon' stop, cause invasion licking me up. But be just strong, all of we built up. My pain, but be breaking up. Coming here is family, me as a friend. You see my action, I get it again. Wearing my red, I ain't worried with them. Cause I like how me and Molly does represent this country here to the end. Take charge, me you in charge. Pick up me leading with confidence and strength, experience, excellence and strength. Take charge, me you in charge. You in charge, you is the boss.
You have just heard from the boss. I have no doubt that you know that she is in charge. And that you know that when Mia Amor Motley is in charge, that Barbados is in safe hands and heading in the right direction. St. Patrick's, St. Philip West, are you red and ready? Are you ready and ready? Are you ready and ready to return Kay McConey as your next parliamentary representative? Are you ready? I believe you are. You know, I've heard some people trying to compare, and they say they're comparing and contrasting. Trying to say they want to compare and contrast our political leader with the fella on the other side who was, as I said, ratting to the Barbados Labour Party, rat out of the Barbados Labour Party, ratting to the Democratic Labour Party, destroying it, rat out of St. Christchurch South, and ratting to St. John. He left from Christchurch South, tried to make his way to St. Lucie, didn't work out, and now he is in St. John. But I'm going to tell you, the people of St. John, they have said that they are not changing their mind, that they are going back with Charles Griffith. And it's an easy, simple thing. When you look at our political leader, and you look at Rap, I know there's some people in the Democratic Labour Party who are a little annoyed saying that we are referring to him as Rat. I did not christen him. And if his initials spell Rat, that's a fact.
Oh Lord.
They have a problem with us referring to him by his initials. But they don't have a problem with Eswick speaking about the women in this country and this party and our supporters in such a derogatory manner. But they have a problem with us referring to him by his initials. Mia Amora Motley. That spells mom, correct? My name doesn't ring. DT Lovell. Well, that doesn't spell anything. You can call me Loves because Lovell is my last name. I take that. But if Ralph Thorne, and I said it before, but if Rap and the people in the Democratic Labour Party have a problem with us calling him Rap, I could give him a name that is more suitable given the nonsense that he has been speaking in this country and in Parliament, particularly trying to tear down the Barbados Labour Party and the Barbados as a country as well. And if he doesn't like R-A-T, Ralph, whatever his name spells, help me. If R-A-T spells rat and M-A-M spells mom, if I had a chance to rechristen him, help me to spell, please. His first name would be Percival. His middle name would be Ulrich. And his last name would be Price. I don't know what that spells. I didn't go to school. But what it sounds like to you? What it sounds like to you? All right. And that is how he conducts himself. And that's the kind of title that he's deserving. And you can't put the country in his hands. You can't risk that. And as I told you earlier, you're not getting him alone. You got to Eswick. You see Jones out there again on the platform. You see Boyce out there on the platform. They got Donville out there. These same fellas are lurking. They will be empowered. They will come back and destroy this country. Be careful. Don't take that chance. Keep Eswick out. Vote McConey. Keep Eswick out. Vote McConey. 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 But the Prime Minister doesn't do it alone. And she keeps telling you, I need these good, strong, talented persons to help me do the heavy lifting. And she wants Sonia Brown in the north. She wants Indar in the south. And she needs McConey here in the west. But there's another man she needs. There's another man she needs who has been there in the engine room helping her and giving her the opportunity to go on the international stage to do the real hard work to keep Barbados as prime as it is. She needs that man. That man is the one who keeps the ball rolling. He is the one in the engine room so she can travel to do the hard work to keep Barbados rising and rising and rising. Because of him, she can do the hard work to see that we continue to thrive on the international stage. Because of that man, she is free. And she has asked you in the same way that she has asked you for care. Last night, the people in Wotton say, we want back our man. We want back strong. Ladies and gentlemen, the next parliamentary representative for the constituency of Christchurch East Central, the man who has kept it together to help our Prime Minister to do her work. Ladies and gentlemen, he has demonstrated his talent. We have the talent here. This is a party of resourcefulness. This is a party of talent. This is a party of quality. This is a party will deliver for you again. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan again.
Christchurch East Central, how we voted? Ryan Strong again. Ryan Strong again. Ryan Strong again. Ryan Strong again. Yeah. Remember living in the last decade? Oh yes, I remember. How me and Ryan saved the day. Oh yes, I remember. After we get so many downgrades, remember Ryan give we a pay raise. But free items help to ease the strain, so we got to vote for Strong.
St. Philip West. Let me hear ya. I bring greetings from Christchurch East Central, and to let you in St. Philip West know, we are neighbors, and I have just come from Ridge Meadows, and I'm happy to report that all is well on your border. And as we continue these next 9 days, St. Philip West, and for those who may be still unsure, this Barbados Labour Party has been faithful to the people of Barbados these last 7.5 years. And I am happy tonight to come here to speak on behalf of not just a parliamentary colleague, but someone in whom I've come to call a friend, because she's hardworking, I suppose, like me. She's honest, humble, and therefore suited to ensuring that the interests of the people, because coming after the bats of COVID, we thought that we were going to bring the plane home, so to speak, and to set up ourselves for transformation. But we were set back by issues that really and truly very little else could have been done, given that we had just experienced COVID. But your Barbados Labour Party government, and certainly your representative, Kay McConey, has been critical to ensuring that we can continue the work on behalf of not just the people of St. Philip West, but the people of Barbados. So I'm here tonight to ask the good people of St. Philip West, you gave Kay McConey your vote in 2022. And I want St. Philip West to give Kay McConey their vote on February 11th, because this Barbados Labour Party, supported by Kay McConey here in St. Philip West, we have work left to be done, and we want your permission, St. Philip West, to continue to work on behalf of you in this constituency to ensure that we can continue to move Barbados forward in a cohesive manner. Our reality is that we are small, yes. We are vulnerable, yes. But we now must ensure that Barbados becomes resilient, which means we must do things differently. And whilst we cannot put our heads in the sand and ignore what is happening in the rest of the world,
we must be real. When big countries decide to impose tariffs, it has a direct impact on every person's life in this country, because most of the trade that we do comes through the port of Miami. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we have had to confront and face the fact that the cost of living in this country has increased, of course, but it has nothing to do with the government of Barbados, because our tax policy, our social policy, you heard the Prime Minister speak to how we were able to increase not just the welfare grants, we increased the reverse tax credit when we came back into office in 2018. We increased pensions for persons receiving the non-contributory pension at the very start of this program to ensure that the most vulnerable among us would be protected. We introduced a minimum wage after, and let me be clear, because when we talk about cost of living, we must break these things down for people. Some people would like us to forget that the Barbados Labour Party introduced the minimum wage order in December of 2004. The $6.25 sorry. And the government changed in 2008. And that minimum wage stayed at $6.25 for the entire 10 years of the Democratic Labour Party. Want to remember that? And remember that every year the Democratic Labour Party came to Parliament and increased taxes on every single Barbadian every year. They weren't concerned about the cost of living then, but they would want you to believe that under Barbados Labour Party government, where we have increased pensions, we've increased benefits, we have lowered taxes in this country, we have shielded households in this country from their utility bills by reducing the VAT on the first 250 kilowatt hours on every single bill for every Barbadian in this country for the last 4 years. And we've done so because we wanted to ensure that people are shielded. But for the whole 10 years, they never adjusted the minimum wage for the people at the bottom. But under Barbados Labour Party government, we moved the minimum wage from $6.25 first to $8.50, then to $10.50, and last year in the budget when they announced that we will do the 2% every year, the minimum wage is now $10.71. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when you do the simple mathematics, the Democratic Labour Party could not find it within themselves to give Bajans at the bottom not a red cent for the 10 years that they were in office. And now walking about Barbados trying to claim as if they have any right to talk about cost of living in this country. So, make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, the government, through direct policy focus on how we're going to help improve the lives of Barbadians, have been consistently shielding Barbadians from the worst impact of the cost of living, which is driven externally by factors that we cannot control. But yet, we have found a way to ensure that we can shield people. The Democratic Labour Party never, in the 10 years, look out for anybody earning at the bottom. But we've set things in motion to ensure that, yes, we would like the economy to grow, and it's growing, so that we can provide a little more ease and breathing space for families in this country. And therefore, when people say that they ain't sure whether they're going to vote, they ain't sure I find that interesting because by any measure, Barbados has gone through the worst 7 years. In the last 7 years, with all the challenges that we've had. But in spite of that, because of strong leadership, because of competent members of parliament elected right across the length and breadth of Barbados, we have been able to turn around this Barbados economy. We've been able to give people a better chance to cope with what is happening in the rest of the world. And so we've come here tonight to ask St. Philip West for your permission to allow Kay McConey to continue to work on your behalf and on behalf of the rest of the people of Barbados, because the Barbados Labour Party is the only choice to lead this country at this time. And make no mistake about it, them rests ain't ready. They ain't ready. And so when you assess our record, it is second to none. But we don't say so lightly, because we prepared, ladies and gentlemen, we prepared. And when things came our way, as the challenges came, you didn't see anybody freeze. You didn't see anybody with doubt. You simply paused, assessed, recalibrated, changed things as you needed to change, but our eyes were squarely on the mission, which was to ensure that we can have this economy recover and ensure that people were at the center of our response. And I know that Kay, first as the Minister for Innovation and Smart Technology, in trying to improve how the government delivers services to the people of Barbados, and then as Minister of Education, because the importance of having a good, solid education is important. Because as I was here earlier tonight in Ridge Meadows, and I made the very clear point. My mother could not afford for me to pay to go to university, as most families across the country. And therefore, it is important that we continue to invest in our young people. And therefore, when the Barbados Labour Party, in coming back to office, determined that that was a specific policy that we had to prioritize, because the future of Barbados relies on us ensuring that our young people are prepared. You cannot expect Barbados to thrive if our citizens are not prepared to face the challenges of the world. But the Democratic Labour Party inflicted severe damage on this country, which, let me remind you, especially those who may be undecided, that the person who is seeking, or the person who is running against Kay, was part of the decision making of that, caused Barbados long-term harm, from which we have not yet fully recovered. But this government, having established a Ministry for Training and Tertiary Education, we have decided that we will prioritize the retraining of every single Barbadian, because Barbadians now must adopt not just education mindset, we must adopt a mindset of continuous learning, because the world will continue to change. And as the world continues to change, as technologies continue to be unfolded, we must be prepared to be able not just to go with the flow, we have to be able to anticipate what is happening, what is about to happen, and put Barbados in the best position to respond. And so we take this very seriously. And so when it comes to matters of cost of living, we have been targeted. Because there are some on the other side who ain't see the inside of the supermarket, I ain't sure, in their lifetime. And they don't know that the majority of food items in this country as we have agreed with respect to the basket of goods, do not attract VAT. So they will have you believe that by lowering VAT, that somehow those items in the supermarket that don't currently have VAT, that somehow they will go down if they reduce the VAT. It doesn't make sense. And therefore, we have adopted a strategy that allows us to ensure that people will have a little more money when the month comes, that is manageable, that is sustainable, to be able to allow you to decide what you're going to spend the money on, rather than hoping and praying that the business community don't allow it to go straight to their bottom line, which means take the profit. This government cares. Mia cares. And therefore, we trust you, the people of St. Philip West. We trust you, the people of Barbados, to make the choices with respect to how you will spend that money. Unlike the other side, that every time they went to Parliament, they were coming in your pockets to take more money out of your pockets. Was this Barbados Labour Party, from the very first day that we took office, we have been consistently putting money back in the pockets of the people of Barbados, and we will continue to do so because we have been responsible with respect to the management of the public finances, but more importantly, in ensuring that growth returns to this economy. St. Philip West, St. Philip West, I want you to ensure that you talk to every manja and let them know that the leader of the Democratic Labour Party allowed to leave from his lips the words that if you're hungry, I can starve you. I grew up with my grandmother, as many of you did. And my grandmother would be appalled, as many grandmothers in this country would be. Because if you ask somebody if they're hungry, you either reach in your pocket and give them a little something, or break the cheese cutter or whatever it is that you got and give them peace. That is the Barbados that I know. So for those who claim to be undecided, I want you to understand that the Democratic Labour Party has no interest in your well-being. Because up until this point in time, I have not heard a single candidate from the Democratic Labour Party put any distance between that which came from their leader's mouth and them. And therefore, silence, ladies and gentlemen, is consent. They're planning to starve you. Make no mistake about it. They have no interest in the well-being of Barbadians. And therefore, I'm asking you, St. Philip West, to repose your confidence again in Kay McConey, because Kay has been critical to allowing us to be able to deliver. And this government, working with our stakeholders both internally as well as externally, our mission is simple: growing the Barbados economy, allowing people to benefit from that growth directly, to be able to have ordinary Barbadians invest in the future of Barbados. And therefore, you heard the Prime Minister speak about the Republic Child Wealth Fund. That is fundamentally important, because in addition to what the government will do, every Bajan, every grandmother, uncle, great aunt, whatever it is, that got a little piece of money could put aside a little piece for that child, to allow them to have a proper start when they become an adult. Like many of us here this evening, when we turn 18 or 25, would have loved a similar opportunity. And therefore, we cannot allow the future of this country to be derailed by some bad government in the future. And therefore, this fund is a critical cog of building resilience from bad policy in the future. But more importantly, it gives you, families, our Republic children, options for securing their future. And therefore, whilst we are looking long term, we are also putting the intervention in place to ease the cost of living in this country at the same time by being very focused with our pensioners, being very focused with those who are disabled, being focused with respect to the reverse tax credits and the increase for those who are earning the least in this country. And for those in the middle, as the Prime Minister said, you have to listen out in the next budget. But in order for that to happen, ladies and gentlemen, every person, I want to encourage you to get out and vote for Kay McConey on February 11th. Vote for the Barbados Labour Party on February 11th. Vote for Mayor Amor Motley to be the next Prime Minister of Barbados on February 11th. This is serious. We cannot take anything for granted. And Labour Party family, let me remind you, the boxes open empty. It is our job these next 9 days to ensure that we touch every house in this constituency, that we speak to as many people in this constituency so that you can mobilize on election day to ensure that people can get to and from the polls safely, efficiently, so that you can deliver a mandate for St. Philip West to have Kay McConey become the duly elected member of parliament again for this constituency. And if you do that, you would be helping to secure the future of Barbados. Ladies and gentlemen, our task is straightforward. Do not let any sense of complacency set in. We must run through the tape like Usain Bolt used to run through the tape. Not laughing and looking around. When it came to the final, Usain Bolt was serious. These next 9 days must be our finals. We must take them seriously, we must prepare. And therefore, Barbados Labour Party, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? I want all of you, and you hear my voice here in St. Patrick's, to know that Kay McConey has the full support of the Barbados Labour Party. Kay McConey has the full support of us in Christchurch East Central. Kay McConey has the full support of you here in St. Patrick's. And therefore, I want you to go across the rest of this constituency, mobilize the people, and let us work hard. Let us work smart, and let us mobilize on election day to ensure that Kay McConey, the candidates of the Barbados Labour Party, encourage all of your families, all of your friends to vote for the candidate for the Barbados Labour Party in their constituency, and let us ensure that on the night on February 11th, that Kay McConey is the duly elected member of Parliament for St. Philip West, and that Mayor Amor Motley becomes the next Prime Minister of Barbados. St. Philip West, God bless you, and good night.
My name is Shaquille Lloyd, constituent of St. Philip West. My MP is Kay McConey. I'm the proud owner of In Motion Enterprises, which provide car rentals, car wash and detail. I also provide home maintenance, which consists of anything around your house. Before I met my Minister Kay McConey, my life been a bit unstable, without any long-term direction or security. I was doing a bit of odds and ends of jobs, just getting by. When I met her, she didn't just offer words of encouragement. She created opportunity and pushed me to believe in myself. Through her support and guidance, I was able to start a car wash business, where she introduced me to the Project Dawn, where I acquired a brand new power washer and a brand new vacuum. And I'm really grateful for that. She also encouraged me in going forward with my car rental business, basically, and getting my logo and stuff. And I'm very grateful for that as well. She also involved me into some community activities and work, whereby we went around, we painted and did little maintenance and stuff on children parks, such as 6 Rose and Old Berry Terrace. Overall, her time in office made a real impact, not just personally, but throughout the entire community. My MP, Kay McConey.
That we have given the Democratic Labour Party an opportunity to envy us for our style. I know they envy us for our style, but it's about time they learn to envy us for our substance. Because that is what you have seen tonight. That is what you have seen during our government, and that is what you will continue to see under the Barbados Labour Party. But what I want for you and those at home to be clear about is any single person who comes at your door telling you that you need to go with them. When they come to tell you, oh, I'm going to give you these pie in the sky things, I want you to tell them, you got 3 questions. I want to know what, I want to know why, and I have to know how. Because that is what you are getting with the Barbados Labour Party. That is how we have guided ourselves through disasters. That is how we have resurrected this country. And that is how we mean to go on. Because when you open this manifesto, every single section tells you what, why, and how. Now I get a very, very good opportunity to bring to you my minister. A man who, when he leads his ministry, does not lead it from a pack of old warmed over soup like Wreck-It Ralph. A man who is surrounded by vibrant, learned, energized representatives, and who, when he goes into his ministry, believes that the people in the Ministry of Agriculture must be able to say what, why, and how. Please help me welcome my minister, Mr. Indarweer.
You hear that idea? Be ready and ready. When I hear that idea? Be ready and ready. Yeah, you want hear that idea? St. Philip, so vote for Indarweer. I-N-D-E-A-R, that's what we voting for. I-N-D-E-A-R, that's what we voting for. Opportunity and guarantee stability. Yes, we voting I-N-D-E-A-R, that's what we voting for. St. Philip South, let me make this clear. We got the right man. Indarweer, who's putting the work. Indarweer, who giving the job. Indarweer, the young, the middle, the elderly. Indarweer is for all of me. But first of all, let me see it. Look at the work he do up all day. Like repairs the road, deep clean up, improve safety and picnic spots. And thanks to Indarweer, now I can carry my family down here. Yeah. I-N-D-E-A-R, that's what we voting for. I-N-D-E-A-R, that's what we voting for.
Labour Party family. St. Philip West. St. Philip South. St. Philip North. The Republic is here. St. Philip is the first Republic. And I am happy tonight to come and speak to you on behalf of my colleague and friend, Kay McConey. I come tonight to tell you without being bashful that I want all of you on February 11th to go out in your large numbers and vote for Kay McConey. And I tell you why I'm saying this. I'm saying it because I have followed the tumultuous season since elections were announced. And I have followed because I treat to elective politics in the 21st century as something that we shall do for the people, and that we ought not to treat politics as it was in the past, where you have big men coming on platforms to denigrate women. And I am crying shame of David Eswick, a big, hardback old man, comes into a 21st century political environment with this old-fashioned, tasteless type of political style that can do nothing to elevate any of you in St. Philip West. He has failed you over 4 successive terms in Parliament. And Kay McConey, along with John, came to this constituency and you started to see infrastructural change. That is what representation is about. And I say to all of you, this is no longer a case of coming on a platform to show how stink you can behave. This is no longer a case of coming on a platform to call people prostitutes and whores. Where is this coming from? And that you, the people of St. Philip West, you are duty-bound. You have a responsibility to dismiss this man and his political style. There is no place for it. And I say that all of you who have young children, you must think of your children's future. And therefore, if you are serious about your children's future, you cannot support anybody that is prepared to cuss you out. I equally speak, ladies and gentlemen, about agriculture. Because, you know, I have been following this thing and I am completely amazed. One fella in St. George speaking about agriculture. Now, the Central Bank report last year showed that agriculture production had increased. Up to now, they have not acknowledged that. The governor of the Central Bank this year, just recently, delivered his report, and agriculture has grown for 13.3% in Barbados. You know, I hear a fella who want to run in St. George North, but he left it to Tony Moore. He does not understand the difference between growth and decline. So he comes to you, the people of Barbados, and he says to you, agriculture is constantly in decline. A man grown, wanting to represent people, and does not know the difference between growth and decline. 13.3% growth cannot be a decline. And these are the questions that you have to ask yourself. How do you elect people who do not know the difference? And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I speak to you sincerely tonight. Because it is these same people following a leader blindly. A leader who has come to the people of Barbados and said that pork production in Barbados is down. And that this government and this minister has been allowing pork imports into Barbados to kill the pig industry. I want to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, be careful with the lies they are telling you. Pig farmers in Barbados had to reduce their production under David Eswick as the Minister of Agriculture. It is then that government stopped the bung rate of 184% on imported pork and gave concessions for pork to come into Barbados at no duty. That is what they did. They created the mess for the pig farmers in this country. And then they walk around on platforms trying to fool you all, because they can't fool me. That pork production is down because of my ministry. It is Eswick who sat in a cabinet and in a parliament and allow importers to bring in pork in Barbados duty-free. Ask him when you see him and let him explain why he sat in a cabinet and allow it to take place. There's something called manufacturing in Barbados where pork is imported to make hams, etc. That also has been allowed to be imported at 35% duty. Ask yourself why they would do it. And then come to blame an administration that is trying to fix the problem. Pork production now is up in Barbados, and it was up all last year. I speak also to you, ladies and gentlemen, about the nonsense they continue to get on with without holding the former Minister of Agriculture up to scrutiny. And I am very, very tired of having to repeat over and over that young people in Barbados will not be drawn to open field agriculture in the sun. And for me to address that, I have started a process of putting greenhouses in schools. There's one at Law School, anybody can go there and see it functioning. There's one at Princess Margaret, anybody can go there and see it being set up. And right across all the schools in Barbados, if you go to Renowit School, you will see they have a greenhouse there where they're planting pineapple at the school. And if you consider the average age of a farmer right now, which is somewhere around age 60, the only way we're going to make agriculture sustainable is by working through the younger minds. But they continue with the stupid narrative and not telling any of you all the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, I sat in awe listening to James Paul talking. And you know that James Paul knows so well what an excellent job I am doing in agriculture that he came on a platform and said, on February 11th, go and vote for the Barbados Labour Party. That was in Darwin all through his conscience. He knows the work I'm doing. So, subconsciously, he couldn't get me out of his conscience at all. And so he tell you all, go and vote for the Barbados Labour Party because he knows the good work we're doing in agriculture. I am telling you, ladies and gentlemen, politics today is not the same as it were in the past. We have too much at stake. This government that come to you, all of us, all 30 of us, come into you as humble men and women seeking re-election to continue the good work we did for you, the people of Barbados. And I say to you that when we came to government in 2018, Barbados was on the precipice. We were about to face a currency devaluation. We were. They were going to the central bank and printing money to pay salaries and wages. And they cared not. So that when I hear they start to criticize, without respecting the fact that this country's economy was stabilized under this administration. And you know what made it more difficult? There is no other government in Barbados in our entire existence that has had to live with this country being shut down. Completely shut down. Very little activity taking place in the country. There has never been another time in all of our existence here tonight, none of us can speak to the whole world being shut down. No tourism, no trade. This government has had to live through that and take you through it. And we did so in flying colors, making sure everybody was brought to safety. And it's during that period that agriculture recorded its highest output as well. We have never had a situation in Barbados where we had hurricanes back to back. We have never had freak storm, then a hurricane, and then another hurricane. And if that wasn't bad enough, we then were subjected to ashfall from a volcano eruption in St. Vincent in the Grenadines. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a government that shielded you. As we work through the difficult times, it's almost like taking a ship through rough seas. You can remain in your cabin comfortably, knowing that our captain, Mayor Amor Mortley, carried us through. Mayor Amor Mortley is the best leader and best Prime Minister Barbados has ever had for this 21st century. And I say so because I sit in cabinet with her. I see Mayor Mortley dissect very difficult papers to help all of us to break it down and understand what is before us. She has gone globally and take very difficult conversations to the world to make sure that we, the people of Barbados, get our fair space on this global map. This Prime Minister of ours has been able to appear on stages over the world that have most people that I have met as a minister going to conferences asking to have Ms. Mortley as their Prime Minister. And that is a very sincere comment. So that when we consider what is before us, you're considering a man who comes to Parliament, does not prepare for a Parliament, and I have had to take on the responsibility of standing up to him and telling him up front he must do better. Because he comes to Parliament to waste time. And his behavior is like a kindergarten child. Imagine a bus passing and I can speak without interruption. That's what we're doing, but we're here. He comes to Parliament like a kindergarten child. Mary had a little lamb. Mr. Speaker, tell them let me speak in silence. Mary had a little lamb. Mr. Speaker, tell them let me speak in silence. Mary had a little lamb. Mr. Speaker, tell them let me speak in silence. Repeating himself for hours on end. And just because we have the third oldest parliament in the Commonwealth, it doesn't mean that we should engage in three-card behavior in our parliament. And his conduct is nothing short of a three-card man who comes to bluff and deceive. And that is what he will be doing to you, ladies and gentlemen. Bluffing and trying to deceive you. But St. Philip West, it falls to you to make sure that you stand up, rise up against that level of political perfidy and show that you are serious about your life, your children's life, and your children's lives by coming out on your large numbers on February 11th and vote for the Barbados Labour Party and Kay McConey. Over in St. Philip North, make sure you come out in your large numbers and go and vote for Sonia Brown. And of course, in St. Philip South, where we're doing everything, come out in numbers larger than ever and make sure that I am returned to Parliament. This is what we must do. We must do this for our future. You know, when I look around this constituency, and I'm very familiar with St. Patrick's, I'm very familiar with Church Village, I'm very familiar with Chapel and Breezy Hill, Ebenezer and Brayton. And I'm telling you that when I look around, I see two things. I see people who benefited from the Tenantry Freehold Purchase Act where they were able to purchase the land they were living on at 10 cents per square foot, giving them equity to be able to build out very nice homes right across here. The other thing that I see is that many of the houses across St. Philip in general, but in St. Philip West, if those properties are valued $400,000 or less, your tax statement comes in at zero. This is what a government working for you continues to do, so that you have a property, and many of you fall into that category. You are paying no property tax on a property $400,000 or less. And ladies and gentlemen, I believe that all of you would have come to realize that a Democratic Labour Party government took away the reverse tax credit from men and women who could barely afford to manage their disposable income. They took it away and reduced it to $650. We came to power and put it back to $1,300. And now in our manifesto, we've gone a step further, and people will enjoy a $1,700 tax, reverse tax credit. Tell me, what approach would you take to dealing with cost of living? Do you take the approach of putting money in the people's pocket directly? Or do you want to take the approach of gambling with the merchants, who, if you remove VAT, you have no guarantee that the prices will come down? And we all know that in economics, they say prices are flexible when going up, but very sticky when coming down. And I tell all of you, be wary. It sounds pretty and nice, but it does not help you, because you cannot tell a merchant how to put his markups. And therefore, in as much as they talk about removing VAT, they have not engaged in the reality. And I, as a businessman, I understand how markups work. And therefore, you cannot come to me and expect to tell me, with all your political perfidy, that I am to believe that when you say you're going to remove VAT, that my disposable income going to get me more. It certainly will not, ladies and gentlemen, because you have seen what happened. You remove the VAT and the merchants increase their markups. Very simple thing. So the best way to deal with this is to put the money in your hands, give you greater disposable income so that you can make choices. You're not at anybody's mercy. If you go one place and you don't like it there, you put back your wallet in your pocket and you go somewhere else. And that in itself drives competition. That in itself will help you to make them bring prices down, not the removal of VAT. I tell you that with all sincerity. You are the ones, when you manage your disposable income, you drive competition, and competition drives prices down. Don't let anybody come and fool you with nonsense. And therefore, it's up to you, ladies and gentlemen. It falls to you. Tonight, when you go home, consider what stands before you. But I do know for sure that you know what you have, but you certainly don't know what you're going to get. And as it looks, whatever it looks like, it may very well be that. Because I have seen and heard sheer incompetence. And I don't say that disparagingly. I say it to you because it's absolutely true. Go and check for yourself. A man on a platform speaking and saying that he would introduce a seed bank to Barbados. Well, go up to the home agriculture station. We already building a seed bank and a tissue culture lab. But then when he tries to explain what is a seed bank, he's talking about taking seeds out of fruits and taking seeds out of vegetables. You know how long you're going to wait to develop those? Huh? But the rotation on cucumbers is 6 weeks. Then you got to take out the seeds. Tissue culture, you do it instantly. You take tissue culture and you create plants. So for a man to come and talk about seed bank, I have said over and over and over, Barbados will have a seed bank. Barbados is the only island in the Caribbean that will have a tissue culture lab as of the magnitude that we have in St. Philip at the Home Agriculture Station. Go up there and visit it. That is what this is about. You know that many farmers across this constituency have been suffering water outages. And you would think that those water outages now start. No, my friends. All of the pumps in the wells are obsolete. That happened under the previous Minister of Agriculture. He is not worthy of a looking at all. As a matter of fact, he should be completely dismissed. Farmers know their plight. They know that when he was in power, all of those pumps could have been modernized and retrofitted or changed to suit modern times. They were not. I now struggle with the responsibility of helping farmers through these difficult times. And the times are difficult. I take you to what we have done. Now I hear that he said, if they get back a government, he bringing down the water rate to 66 cents. Now let me tell you all, ladies and gentlemen, I met with all the farmers in St. Philip. At my constituency office, they came in numbers. And we discussed what I can do to bring relief. And they said they do not like the rate at $1.80 per cubic meter. And I said to them in very plain and sincere language, what would you like to pay? Every man in that room told me $1.20. I left and told them, stand by. And I went to the Prime Minister of Barbados and I said to her, I met with the farmers. They're not happy paying $1.80. I want $1 per cubic meter, not $1.20. I went below. And this is what the farmers asked for. So to come trying to mislead you and make you believe that we just pluck something out of the sky is wrong. And when people are out of connection with reality, this is what they do. His politics is out of connection with reality. Clearly, his policies will be out of connection with reality. But what is even more, there's a desalination plant that is coming, and there's the water reuse project. That water reuse project will help to drive the cost of water further down. So you don't have to engage in setting off government revenue in order to make a case. It is there before you already. And I find it very difficult to come to terms with the duplicitous approach to getting the message across to people, trying to persuade them to vote for you just because you say so. You have brought nothing to make the lives of people better. And if you are not conscious, let me remind you of your sufferings between 2013 and 2018. You know, they all remind me of there was this guy who went searching for money. And he went to a farmer and said to the farmer, I am looking to get some money. And the farmer said, okay, I have 2 animals here. I have a sheep and I have a dog. And the farmer said, you can pick one of the animals, but if you take a sheep, I will give you a large sum of money to look after that sheep. And the fellow went and picked up an animal. And the farmer shouted, "Hey, you belong to the Democratic Labour Party?" And the farmer, he said to the farmer, "Why?" He said, "Well, I tell you, take a sheep and you take my dog." That is how they behave. They don't know the difference. But they want to run a country. And I say to all of you, be careful. Because you are duty bound to make sure that you make the right decision. And in making the right decision, St. Philip West, I am telling you, listen to James Paul. Vote Barbados Labour Party. He ain't belong to this platform, you know. He ain't belong to these platforms. But he is telling you what to do. And so therefore, from this platform in St. Philip West, I am saying to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, rise up. On February 11th, come out in your large number. Vote for Kay McConey, vote for Kay McConey, vote for Kay McConey. In St. Philip North, vote for Sonia Brown, vote for Sonia Brown, vote for Sonia Brown. And in St. Philip South, endorse the man, endorse the man, endorse the man. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. I'm obliged to you. May God bless all of you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Barrow. I live in Harlington, St. Philip, in the constituency of St. Philip West. I was having water issues for more than 15 years. I went on calling programs, I spoke to ministers past, and I made numerous complaints to Water Authority to no avail. And during the time of ELSA, Ms. Kay McConey was not yet elected, but she came through to visit my neighbor's house, which had gotten damaged. So she just passed through. I didn't even know that she was running for our constituency, which is St. Philip West. And I spoke to her in terms of the problems we were having with the water and stuff like that. And she assured me that she would try to fix the problem. When she became a member of parliament, then she came back again to us and she said that she would try to assist us with a water tank. And that she did, not only for me, but for other people through the district. Well, now that I have a tank, I have water to do whatever I have to do. Wash, because I don't have to worry about getting up early in the mornings and catching water or trying to hustle back home in the evening to get water before the pipe goes off. I have water right through. So I'm very grateful and I'm very thankful for her, for what she has done for us, for all the others in the district who was given a tank.
One thing that I know when election time come wrong again. When the BLP in power, we smiling again. Labour people, represent with your hand in the air. Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up. Election is the time we love to meet up with all my friends. Must be a monthly and me's boundary. The country winning.
Thank you, Indar. Thank you, and we have heard why St. Philip South is in safe hands. We have come to the end of what I would like to claim has been a successful evening. I want to thank you wonderful people from this community in St. Patrick's for receiving us so warmly here. And to all of those of you who are viewing us online, we also thank you for tuning in. And the Barbados Labour Party train continues. Stay tuned and you will see and hear more of what you've had tonight. So I just want to say to all of you from the north, remember, it's Sonia Brown. Those in the south, it's Indar Ware. Here in St. Philip West, it's McConey, McConey, McConey all the way. And all across Barbados, all we want to hear is BLP, 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 and Mia Morley one more time. Thank you, good night, God bless, and all of you get home safely.
In changing times, we're still standing. This is home. From fields and hills we know so well, this new republic where we dwell. We carry hope through trial and strain. Still we rise again and again through broken days and uncertain roads. We keep believing, we keep holding.
In changing times, we push on, hand in hand with beige and strong. What was planned long ago, still reminding us to grow.
From strength to strength, we carry on with pride that time can never undo. Through every test, one truth we know, greater will our nation grow.
From little rock with giant dreams, more than all the world to see. Every child, every voice, still learning hope is a choice. Made and strong through joy and pain. In changing times, we remain.
No matter how winds may blow, we stand together.
Still we grow.
From strength to strength, we carry on with pride that time can never undo. Through every test,
One truth we know,
greater will our nation grow. From strength to strength, yes, page and strong.
this is who we always know.
Through changing times, this truth we know, greater will our nation grow. From strength to strength, we carry on with pride that time can never undo. Through every test,
One truth we know,
greater will our nation grow. Yeah, and grow, and grow, and grow. Yeah. Greater will our nation grow.
Barbados, from parish to parish, we ready. More delight on the island breeze, hard work, strong roots, big dreams. From the coast to the hills we rise, same heartbeat under blue skies. We've been steady, we've been strong, building Barbados all along. You can see it, feel the way, confidence leading every day. Hands up high, flags in the air, forward together everywhere. We know the road, we know the way, Barbados moving there to stay. When BLP, based on succeed. When BLP